There we go. Live. Let's see. Make sure all the audio, video, all that stuff is good. We'll be good to go. Looks like audio is good. Make sure all the audio, video, all that stuff is. All right. Here we are. Already got some people watching here. So good to go. Got my laptop on the side with the chat, all that good stuff. And got some screens ready to show you guys. We're going to talk about some YouTube stuff and just have some fun. Let's see who we got. We got Derek here again. We got Misplaced Motovlogger. Michael Bike checked in early. He was like half an hour early. He's going to check back. And Mr. G, thanks for checking in. Definitely appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to, I raised the resolution on it. StreamYard was actually kind of downplaying the resolution. So I was going through the settings, waiting, and I was like, hey, let me just up that. And it looks, I'm looking at it. It looks okay. It looks pretty good. So it's one of those things. And yeah, got my Mountain Dew. Doing a major melon tonight. It's one of my new favorites. So I am going to get into a lot of YouTube content type stuff because some people have been asking some questions, and I've seen a lot of stuff being thrown out there. So I just figured, hey, why don't I join in? And of course, it'll just become the random chat that BPE live streams always become. So we'll give some people some time. We've only been live for less than 2 minutes, so we'll give, good 5 minutes or so. Because I know there's one guy that I definitely want to wait for. He was asking me some stuff, so I want to give him some time to come in here. Yeah, I'm on time. All right, 9 people. Hey, there's Michael Bike. There you go. Getting ready. Just waiting for some people. Letting the crew come in here. Oh, just jumping. I may start earlier than I thought I would. And the thing is, not everyone who watches me, they may be on the phone or something like that, so might not be able to chat. But that's okay. As long as you're watching and you are entertained, maybe you learn something. It'll be good. All right, so I made notes too, but I'm going to start with some simple stuff, just simple, flat out, like setting up the YouTube page type stuff and tags and titles and things like that. And then I'm going to get into more stuff because I think sometimes some people jump the gun and like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And then people are like, well, how do I set up a banner? Something simple like that. So I think just starting right at the beginning and doing that is probably more beneficial. Hey, we got a bunch more people. Got Maurice, we got Roadie Riders. Appreciate you, local guy, showing up. And there's Mr. G. Hey, Mr. G, how's it going? Appreciate you hopping on. And we got Harley Girl. We got the whole crew hopping on. I talked to Harley Girl, I think it was earlier this week. I'm bad with time, but yeah, she was saying that she was hoping she could hop on. So I appreciate you hopping on, everybody hopping on. So I'm gonna, present, share screen. So I've got one big giant screen here. So I'm going to see how this works. There we go. Yeah, it works kind of well. not great, but it's there. Can I do this? Can I make it like bigger? I was messing around with StreamYard. Yeah, this is probably the best view that we're going to get here. So there's you guys. There's a chat there. There's all my fun background, my icon. So I got a big 49-inch Samsung screen, so that's why it looks like the way that it is. So, all right. So here's your, as you know, your basic layout screen here. So you got some important pieces. If you're definitely starting from scratch on a channel, you want some sort of banner, and mine is super simple. Colors, your logo if you got one, and name. Really starting out, that's all you need. Then you can get more fancy with stuff like that. Gotta have a little logo here, name. Now this part you can kind of set up how you want in the customized channel, but so here, because I'm live and upcoming, that's why that's there. Normally, Will it change? No, it's not going to change because I'm live. So normally I got a video up here that it's called like a I forget what YouTube actually calls it. It's the I don't know. I have no word. I need more caffeine or less, one or the other. It's like the welcome video or something. You can change that. Let me see if it lets me. Does it let me? No. Probably because I'm signed in. I'm still signed in. Let me see if a different browser lets me, because I'm totally prepared for all of this. Nope. It's because I'm going live. So apparently when you go live, it changes your home screen. That is very good to know. But yeah, so you can change what you want for views here, like popular uploads I put up there, uploads. So when someone gets to your page, you can be like, what do you want them to see? So I thought to myself, hey, these are my most viewed videos. I might as well have that up there. So then, you know, it gets people watching them. I put my playlists on there as on my main screen here. So that way you can go through each individual playlist. Then I got my friends, my BPE friends, which I need to add to. I've been slacking at that. So I've got to remind myself to put some people on there. We got Angry Boomers here. Thanks for stopping by. That's what else? What else did I miss? People are saying hi to each other. Cool. I know, super interesting stuff. So and then you got your video screen, shorts. So YouTube kind of changed this a little bit. This is stuff that you don't really mess around with, except for this about screen. And I've noticed this. I think a lot of people forget about this, about writing anything here. This is still something that gets tagged by YouTube and is a way for people to find your channel depending on what you put in here. And then even like something so simple as your channel links, Instagram, and all that stuff down there. And you probably wonder, all right, how do I get to all this stuff? My playlist somehow brought it up, an old band I was in. Nice. That's funny. All right, so you go to this customized channel, which brings you to there's a couple different ways to get here, but yeah, so this is what I was talking about. So they call it a channel trailer. I totally forgot what that was. And you can change this. And I usually periodically change it out, which I probably will be probably in another couple of weeks. So I wanted my bike reveal video to be up there. So I'm like, all right, when you hit the page, what video do you want them to see? Some people even just do videos just for this. They make like a short video and be like, hey, here's a channel trailer or intro or something like that. Have fun with it. I periodically just change it out. And I make it the same for both, just because. And like I was mentioning before, you got your featured sections down here. There we go. Sorry. Thanks, Mr. G. I definitely appreciate you stopping by, man. I always appreciate it. I get it now. Tags, like you said. Yep, Harley Girl. I'm going to get more into the tags too. I'm kind of building up to that, but I definitely wanted you to see at least that part. But yeah, so these featured sections, you can come in here, you can add sections, you can do whatever. So like I said, I'm like, all right, here are my uploads, here are my popular uploads, here are my playlists. And then you can, you know, whatever, however you want to kind of put this out, you can even change the order and stuff like that. So just something more, you know, when people hit your page, that's like the main thing that they see here. And here's the banner. So customization, yeah, you can put your banner up there. You got your video watermark, which I would do anyways. If you got a logo or something cool like that, just do the entire video, let it sit there, and just one extra thing for people to see. Yeah, this place motovlogger. I thought, like I said, I've seen some other people do specific videos for that. And I thought about it. I'm like, it's a cool idea. And maybe like maybe like for a new season, like maybe season 4 or whatever, if I start that, I might do something like that. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of rotating it out too, because it's something different. And this is that about page I was talking about. So you do all your info here and tags and URLs and all that stuff, just things that people can, you know, help find your channel. So what you want to do, I know it's a little bit hard with my big screen here, but all the way down here is settings. Here's an interesting point. Channel. These are channel tags for the entire channel. There are video tags, and then there's, okay, what are my channel tags? This is it. This is where you would put them, and they work exactly the same way. I have a lot of the same stuff in here as far as Ryker stuff and Spyder stuff and different, moto vlogging and things like that. So, and you still have the same 500 character limit for that. So if you've done video tags before, this works the same way. And it is in your, your YouTube studio, all the way down into settings. So bypass all this stuff on the left, go all the way down, settings, and then channel. So I'm not sure how many people are actually doing this. I don't think it's something that people can see. I think it's just something for you, and it's something for the algorithm to pick up. But this is definitely something that I wanted to show people because, again, I don't know. I found it early, and I'm like, hey, I can put stuff here. So might as well let you guys know. Oh, I'm going to sneak peek some videos here. I've got some videos coming out, but I'm going to go into my Spyder ride video here, details. Sometimes I'm more. Yeah, I definitely want to create a different email address just for the channel and drop it in there for a couple of reasons. They, like you said, subscribers and people feel more comfortable with that. And depending on what you're doing with your channel, companies might actually reach out to you or things like that, or some other, brands and other stuff like that. So it's a good way to just have some sort of way to have anybody contact you there. Hey, the Massachusetts Paranormal Academy made it. Awesome stuff. So yeah, I'm just getting into the actual video details now. I did a brief, brief description on actual channels and stuff like that. So SI Ryker is here. Good evening. I think it's evening here on the East Coast. I don't know where, on the Eastern time zone anyways. So yeah, so your video details, I highly suggest, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this with my titles, I try to use as much space as possible. The more you fill in with these titles, the more of a chance that someone's going to be able to search that video, and the more of a chance that it's going to get tagged in the algorithm. And I separate it with the little the brackets here, because again, that's something that I've noticed with a lot of the larger channels will do. So instead of doing like a long run-on sentence of titles or commas or periods or whatever, separating by the brackets works. Oh no, Drill Mouse Moto caught me. I'm telling all the secrets. I'm trying to help everybody out. I'm trying to help out all my fellow moto vloggers and YouTubers out there. Plus, it gives me an excuse to go live. That's a good question, Mike. Do the tags autofill in every video you put out? No. For me, they don't. If you scroll, I'll scroll right down to the tags. I'll get back to that. So here we go. Tags. What I do here is I have a notepad on my desktop with all the tags I want to do. I copy and paste, drop it right in here, done. So basically do it once, do it on like Word or Notepad or something, type out kind of what you want to do, and you can copy and paste that in every video. And that's how I do it. There might be another way, but as far as totally auto-populating, I don't think there is, but someone can totally correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think there's a way for that to work. Good stuff, guys. Hey, no problem, Ingrid Boomer. Thanks for stopping by. As long as I help somebody out, then this is all it's all worth it, and it's all fun on Friday night. So yeah, so you use the whole title. Use as much of this space as you can in each individual video, with as many tags, as many words, just words. Anything in here becomes taggable on YouTube, and someone can find out the find the algorithm there. And an interesting thing at the bottom here, you'll see, if you look at people's pages, there's like above the title, like 3 hashtags. You can put that at the bottom of your description. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag. The first 3 are the ones that show up on the page. Anything after that, they don't show up, but they still work. So you can do, they give you a 5,000 character limit here. You can do a ton of them. I just do a few because to me that's a little crazy to put a ton of them here. But the first 3, like for this is my last Spyder ride video I put out. So Ryker, US Spyder riders, and group rides. That came out this week, and I think it's over 150 views already. I think it's already hit 200, which is really good for me, and I appreciate that. So definitely, this is something that you want to look at. If you're not doing it, try it and go back on some of your old videos and try it, and see if you see any sort of increase in views or not. All right, now I'm going to go back to the comments because you guys keep talking. Yep, channel tags. Let's all hit that. Thromos, you're the man. Hey, Walt, how's it going? Yeah, so I do use TubeBuddy too, and I haven't fully dived into everything that TubeBuddy does, and I think there's different tiers to that too. So I think it lets you do different things depending on the tier that you're in, but that's a good point. Ooh, I clicked on something. Hold on. Now I got to get back to where I was. Let's go back to the same video. Yep, so you scroll down. So that's the title and the description part. You can add chapters, thumbnails. I use Adobe Express. It used to be Adobe Spark for thumbnails. For me, it's wicked easy because I'm not an artist and I don't have Photoshop or anything like that. So what Adobe Express does, you find a template and you can put a picture in there, and then you can just modify that template and put logos and stuff in there. It's super easy and it's free. So if you guys are looking for something else that's pretty easy and just you kind of want like a plug and play template thing, I'd check out Adobe Express. Then you got your playlists, which again, this one's going into the Spyder Ride playlist. Audience, not a paid promotion. Then here's the tag part that I talked about earlier. I just copy and paste all my tags. Depending on the video, I do have a whole nother section for like Moto Madness type tags, like, oh, biker versus whatever, this or that, depending on the video. So that might be good. You set up a few different, copy and paste tags. So you can just grab a, bunch of those and copy and paste them in the video. And TubeBuddy will actually suggest tags too, which is one of the things that I was using it for early on. And it's not a bad deal if you're starting out. And language and all that stuff. So that's some super basic stuff. And if we go into some stuff on the side here, cards and end screens. I would highly suggest doing end screens, even if you don't have like this fancy, a fancy end screen or whatever. Do one anyways for the end of your video. Do like an outro and get this stuff, some screens and some subscriber things going. Hey, Technic Rides is here. What's up? Photo fee is great. Fee web base. See, there you go. So there's a good suggestion by Walt. There's another free site there for thumbnails. Yeah, the Epic sounds good for sound. What do you think? I will get to that question, Paul. I'm going to finish up on end screens here. So if you go into the analytics, you can see if someone clicks on one of these, and I can tell you from experience, I have gotten more views and possibly subs just by using end screens. So it's just one of those things. It's another thing that I think people just forget. Like they're just like, oh, I'm going to end my video, fade to black or whatever. Takes another maybe 10 or 15 seconds to kind of set this up how you want it. And then it saves it. And then you just plug it into play into every other video after that. So we're definitely looking to doing an end screen. If for anything, you just do, next video and sub. And then, as you move along and get more used to it, you can get a little bit more crazy with it. All right. Let's get back to me because everybody wants to look at me and get the Mountain Dew. Yeah, for people who are just showing up. And Thromos, you're here. I don't have any Baja Blast. I got the Major Melon. Yeah, there's Anonymous Biker. What's going on? Yeah, my phone's going off on silent. All right. So we got a couple of questions, and I got notes on my phone that I want to talk about, just about kind of YouTube in general. But Paul from the Massachusetts Paranormal Academy posted up. It's a very good question. How many videos do you suggest uploading per week? For new channels, like just starting out, let's say you're under 10 subs, 0 to 10 subs, no videos, bang the videos out, because at that point you have nothing really, and YouTube's like, all right, you don't really have any content, so I'm not, the algorithm's not really picking you up. Bang out 10 or 12 videos, 10, 12, 15, 20, maybe. And then you can start rolling, and then you're like, all right, now you start getting to the searches and things like that. Then after that, I honestly, for me, wouldn't do any more than three videos a week. And it depends on your content and what you're doing, but 2 to 3, I think, is the max, because you got to understand. And then, space them out, between days, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday type deal. I do a Sunday and a Thursday. If I do a third video, I do it on a Tuesday. So I always have like an extra day between my videos, because for me, it's a big ask. It's like, all right, there are some channels who put out a video every day, 7 days a week or whatever. And like, that's a big ask, depending on how long your videos are, to have your subs keep coming back and the views coming back consistently over time. I think that's a big ask. I think if you're putting out 1 to 2 videos a week, sometimes 3, I think that's not too bad. A good example of that is Bike Spirits and Brews. It's a really good channel. Ben's a good guy. He does 3 videos standard, and then I think during the winter he drops down to like 1 or 2. But he's able to space it out. He's timing and all that. And he's got different types of videos that he does on certain days and stuff. So really, that's something you got to feel out. Make one of your end credit cards on your end screen a playlist. Yes, that is a good tip. So if you are doing the 2 windows like I have, one's a playlist, one's like kind of like a best, what do they call it? Best suggestion or next video or something like that. It's not a bad idea. The one thing, and SI Ryker brings up a good point with the cards, I always forget about the cards. Like there are certain videos where I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. But if I backlog a lot of content. So sometimes I'm like, I'm doing it, I'm watching it, I'm like, and I just forget, oh, I mentioned a card in this video. So that's, you can make notes to yourself to add cards in. It's not another bad way to get some extra clicks on another video. Yeah, and once they're in your playlist, like the Remote Moto says, it'll just keep rotating your playlist. And that's one of the best things. You got to hook them in with the playlist. Let's see. Good call for a live stream. Yeah, I like the Major Melon. It's not bad. I like the Voltage, and now Major Melon is in like my top 3. Baja Blast is in the top 3 too. So those are my 3 go-to Mountain Dews. How long would make the time of each video? So time length, this is something that a lot of moto vloggers talk about, and just we kind of go back and forth on. But I think we can all agree for moto vlogging, 8 to 12 minutes. And I think for most vlog type videos and talking type videos that aren't live streams, just straight up, vlogging content type videos, 8 to 12 minutes is the sweet spot. You can go 15, you can go 20 if you've got like a special event. Like a lot of my van videos will be longer because that's an event, and people are like, oh, we want to see what's happening next. And a lot of my wrestling videos, my pro wrestling stories and stuff like that will be longer, just because there's so much more substance and stuff to talk about. But on average, I think you'd have to feel it out. I would start looking around 10 to 12 minutes and just kind of editing and see what you can kind of fit in there. And if you're ending up with a 20-minute video every time, ask yourself, can this be 2 videos? Can you split it into 2 videos and get 2 different types of content and more people coming in? Or does it make more sense to be one long 20-minute video? And that's something that I've seen. God, I've seen like 25-minute long videos that could be 4 videos. And because they're talking about separate things throughout the whole thing. And I'm like, I do random rides and random stuff. And I know Road Reality is really good at that with his, what does he call it? Scatterbrain stuff. But with stuff like that, you know what you're getting. You're like, oh, this is going to be random. Oh, this is going to be scatterbrain. He's talking about different stuff. But when you have a title that says something specific, and then you're talking about 4 or 5 different things, and it's 25 minutes long, I would break that thing up. into different videos. I'm kind of rambling on that, but it just struck my mind that I should probably mention that. Time to edit. Yeah, definitely need time to edit. I've got a lot of templates and stuff set up. I use Filmora X for editing. So I've got a lot of stuff already plug and play. And for the basic motor vlog, I can probably bang it out in 2 hours. Basically, I've already got everything all set up. For something more advanced, like my I know Harley Girl, she's watching. She had mentioned my reveal video, my bike reveal video, and how that was a little bit different. I spent a lot more time on that, and I spent more time videography and stuff like that. That probably took me a good 8 hours total, like filming and then add in editing. So I tried. That's gonna be that's the joke for some of you guys who know and whatever. So season 4 is I'm gonna try. I usually don't. I'm just like bang out the moto vlogs, but that's a really good video. And I look back at that video sometimes too. I'm like, wow, I did this, I did that. So we'll see. We'll see if I can find the time to do more videos like that. DUNLife. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, it was definitely good to meet up with Bam. And I know Bam's getting bigger, and it's really cool to meet someone like my DUNLife at Bam and just sit there and talk. And we had lunch together and stuff like that. So if you're on it, not just the East Coast, if you're anywhere, just to plug, I think Mr. G is gone, but just to plug Bam, if you can make it, because it's definitely worth it. Derek likes the Voltage. Yeah, Voltage is one of my go-tos. That's not right, girl. Voltage has that extra. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Voltage. It does have that extra thing. Okay, so SI Ryker brings up a good point, and that's actually one of my notes. I got some notes here. So there's 2 notes that it kind of falls in. His question is, are you talking from a job or a hobby perspective? And Viper6, how's it going? Dropping by to say hi to everybody. So some points that I saw some other vloggers talking about is they storyboard their YouTube videos, and these are channels that, and again, I'm not a big channel. I'm not, I appreciate where I am with my views and my subs and stuff like that, but they're in the whole grand scheme of YouTube, I'm not that big. But there are channels who are just starting out and smaller than me that are apparently, from what I've heard, are totally scripting everything they do and storyboarding out every scene for scene for scene, shot for shot. And that's cool. If that's what you want to do and all of that, that's cool. And if it works for you and if that's your system, that's fine. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Even with that bike reveal video, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the concept. I'm like, these are the shots I want to get. It was all up here. I didn't write anything out. There was no scripts. There was no storyboarding. I'm like, and I'm a one-man shop too. So I do everything. So it's not like I had to communicate with somebody else. So I'm just like, all right, this is it. And some people have to write stuff down or whatever. It's cool. Like I said, it's up to you. And I think it depends on the content too. Like if you're doing a straight up moto vlog and you're just talking about a subject, most of the time you probably don't have to really, you're probably already well versed or you've done some research on the, the subjects you're talking about. You don't really need to storyboard out anything. But for videos, other videos like B-roll and stuff like that, maybe you do, or maybe you're running a skit or something like that. But some of you guys already know how I roll with the BPE skits. It's all improv. I'm just like, this is the basic idea. Here are the bullet points. And it comes from professional wrestling too, because that's what we did. Paul will attest to that. There was no script. We're like, here's what we want to do. Here's where we're going to film it. Here's the shot we want to get. Here are your bullet points. Camera's on, go for it. But I think some people like to overcomplicate YouTube, and that was something that I was going to get into. And that's when you need to decide, all right, am I doing this to make a job out of it, to get noticed, to get the views, to get subscribers, to get sponsored, all that stuff, or is it just a fun hobby for me? So I think that's how different people attack it, and I think that's their mindset. And that's something you got to decide early before you start it, because if you want to hit it hard early. If not, what are you gonna do? I want to catch up on the comments here. Yeah, the riding out in the Vam Tazwell back in the Dragon area is good. Paul's got another question. You guys keep talking and I'm talking and I'm not paying attention. Oh, need more Mountain Dew. Yeah, that's a good point, Don. I'm going to get to your comment in a minute. I don't have time to plan. Some people are really good off the cuff. Oh, Viper's going down. What do they call? They call that snowbirding, right? You're a snowbird, Viper. He's traveling south for the winter down to Arizona. So, but that's cool though. That's hell, if I had a chance to go somewhere warm, I would totally do that. I've been to improvs. I've talked about. It's like all you guys are with me, right? We're all just like off the cuff, just like going for it. And that was. But I'm gonna go back up to Dunlife's. So what he said was, oh wait, I can show this. Ah, I figured it out. Okay. So this is what he said. I don't know how you can make organic content as a motovlogger with storyboarding. And that's a good point. And you notice this with the larger channels. They all fall into this trap. They all end up kind of mimic each other and they all kind of look the same. And that's not the trap I want to fall into. And I just want to be me. The more you are in your videos, unless you're playing a gimmick, and I've said this on other vlogs and other videos. If you want to play a gimmick and be a character, hey, cool, that's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you just want to straight up motovlog or be on YouTube or whatever. Be you turned up to 11. And that's the same way that I treated wrestling. And like the best characters and the best guys I've seen in the ring are themselves, but they turn it up when the cameras come on. Because normally, some of the guys at BAM who have met me, dude, I'm wicked quiet. I'm off camera. I usually hide from cameras unless someone sticks it right in my face. I'm just like, whatever, I'm just doing my thing. But hey, when the camera's on and we go live, then I got the caffeine in me. We're ready to go. Let's see. Yeah, so multi-day stuff. That's why I like doing group rides and stuff like that. And VAM is always my go-to for at least 4 or 5 videos, depending on when I leave there. Let's see. I think I missed a question. Hold on. Is there a specific? Okay, yeah, I saw this. So I'm going to start showing questions now, so that way you guys know what I'm talking about. Is there a specific amount of times you should go live? There's not a specific amount of times you should go live. I think that depends on your audience and you getting the following. I highly suggest getting a following first. Get the channel going first and then go live, because then those people will tell other people. And as you spread the word, then those people will come. So, and I've learned this from Twitch, and I know Twitch is a different animal. Twitch is brutal because there's not much you can do. You're like, all right, I'm just going to record me playing this game or doing chatting or whatever. I just hope to God that somebody watches me. Luckily with YouTube, there's a lot more avenues to be able to promote, what you're doing here. So let's see. There was another question. Here we go. Here's a good one. I like the questions. Keep the questions coming, because I do have, like I said, I have some notes, but I'm going to run out of notes. So it's a good way to expand some time here. How important is it to show your face? Not important at all. You really don't even have to. A couple of examples of that is Danoff. He's a motovlogger from Sweden, from Finland, around that area. Has never shown his face. The guy's absolutely hilarious. He's got like 40,000 something subs. Doesn't matter. Never has to show his face. Whenever he's on there, he has his helmet on or he's got something covered. It's not a huge deal, really. And it's just, and some people will milk it too. They're like, oh, I'm going to do a face reveal. I'm going to do a face reveal. I think that's good for a good initial pop. But then what do you follow that up with? You're like, okay, I showed my face. Like, I don't know. That's just me. But, whatever you're comfortable with, do. I don't think it shouldn't affect a channel at all. No, I can't be myself on camera's character. That's a totally different thing. We're gonna do a wrestling video and live stream at some point, and you guys will you'll get that. Me at 11 would get me banned. Oh, you guys, stop making me laugh here. But I think that's the best way to do it, though, and just practice. You know, just be yourself at 11 on camera. And I've told Harley Girl this on DMs. It's like, you don't have to post it. You can film it, edit it, look at it, and be like, okay, cool, and just get the experience of doing it. And then once you're more comfortable, be like, all right, now I'm actually going to do something that a subject that I want to talk about, and then put it out. So not bad. I'm not that good in front of a camera. Yeah, I do. Here's a good point. Being behind and being in front I agree, it's totally different. You're a lot safer, and it's more of a safe space when you're in the helmet and the camera's facing this way and you're just talking. I totally get it, because there are days where I won't get in front of the camera. I was like, nope, this is going to be, I'm either A, not going to vlog, or B, I'm just going to be behind the camera. Like it's just going to happen. So I totally get that. Yeah, so Thrill Mouse is different. He's always at a 14, so he's got to ramp it down. But the fun thing about Thrill Mouse, I'll say, is with that energy at 14, he brings everybody up. So that's Barry's a good guy. He's super cool. I gotta get out to Texas sometime. Overthinking. Here's a good one. Here's an interesting one. And this is very content dependent. Do you need to speak in your videos? I have, like I've mentioned again, that the reveal video, it was music and it was a story of me revealing the bike. There was no vocalization at all from me. I've got a couple videos of doing back roads with just music, and that's it. And they've gotten views, they've gotten positive responses. So it depends on the content. It really depends on the video of what you're doing. If you can tell a story with it and maybe add some music to it, or if the ambient sound is good enough, I would try it. And if you're not sure, and it's a good suggestion, I have some people that I bounce ideas off of, and I will send them videos and be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. What do you think? If you've got somebody like that, that would be a good opportunity to test something like that. And if I'm missing comments, totally just re-comment again, and I'll answer you, because you guys are banging away, and I totally appreciate it. Now the Mountain Dew's getting to me, so I'm definitely gonna be a little bit squirrely. I do show my face when I'm riding. I mean, talking and waking and walking with the camera. Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna talk about the face thing again. So yeah, Blockhead, I actually didn't even know he never showed his face. Like I'll check in on guys like that, like the bigger channels, but I actually had no idea. So didn't he have like an entire event about it? Like I think Doodle went down there. I think Her Two Wheels, like they all like went down there, and he had his event. I'm like, here's my face, which is cool. I mean, he made a big. That's what I mean. Like if you can make a big deal about it, why not, right? But yeah, Anonymous, again, that goes with his channel. He's the Anonymous Biker. And I don't know if he's still watching. If he is, cool. I think he should never show his face, because then he would no longer be the Anonymous Biker. That's just me. That's his thing. So how do you know what you shouldn't upload? That's I don't know. I think that's another one where, again, get phone a friend. Just be like, hey, this is what I want to do. And here's a perfect example. That Yummy Noob Spite video, Yummy Noob should have phoned a friend and said, hey, should I do this? Should I upload this to YouTube? Yeah, something like that. If you're really unsure, then I would definitely ask somebody. Oh, I gotta do this shout out here. Koya Ron on the island. This is a super cool dude. He's been a big supporter in my channel for a long time. I just want to give you a shout out, Koya. I definitely appreciate it. Yeah, I know there's a big time difference with us right here. I think it's almost, I think it's like 10 or 12 hours or something. So definitely appreciate you hopping on real quick. We got Spider Moose. What's going on? All right, I'm almost caught up on comments. I'm going to go back to my notes. Here's a good one. What do you post when nothing interesting is going on? This is where for me personally, this is where my side videos come in. You'll notice I'll do, I had stories from IT. I have my professional wrestling stories, which I have an endless amount at this point. Now that I've gotten into wrestling, that's my go-to. If I don't have something bike related or something else, I'm like, I'm going to tell a wrestling story. So I've got 2 in the bank now for over the winter, and I can easily film more, and I have more content to do for that. So, and if you look at other channels like Blue Bike and Doyle, he's got dicking around in the shed. He's got the mail call. He's the mail call king. So I think if you can find something either off bike or just something else that you can go to that you can story, I think that might be a good idea for no content, or just, you know, you're drawing a blank for ideas. Yes. I've had to do this a couple times. My audio, and this is why I don't want to go to GoPro, my audio is usually very, very good, and I have very rare issues with my setup. But on occasion, I've had to do voiceover and wind. Like if I'm filming B-roll or like at an event or something, wind will kill it, especially up here in New England. So I've had to voice over a couple times. Dude, I've almost killed this whole Mountain Dew. I'm not sleeping tonight. This is cool. I definitely appreciate everybody hopping on. I appreciate it. Yeah, so we're there. Me, Barry, Thrill Mouse Moto. We've done some collaborations together. We help each other out. We're on each other's Discord server. So, yeah, I think I am going to talk about this, and I did want to talk about stuff like this. And I have I don't know if it's fully edited yet, but I have a video where I talk about what other 3-wheel channels are doing. So it's interesting because they don't all moto vlog, and I'm just going to leave it at that because I do have another video coming out about it. But you know, you can go down, subscribe, like, notify, all that stuff. You know, you can get notified when that video comes out. No problem, dude. I definitely appreciate it. And now that I have this coming up, so Ron asked for merch. I was like, no problem, dude. I'll send it to you. And it took a while, but he got it. He posted up on his Instagram wearing the merch, and I've actually put that up in that screenshot in a couple of my videos. So that's super cool. And this is really why I do it, you know, just to make people happy, to entertain people, and give me something to do. This is a hobby. So let's see. Yep. Yeah. And if hold on, I gotta find that. Yeah. So all these people, all these mix and matching people, go find each other, find each other's channels, like, sub, you know, all that fun stuff. Definitely be good. Yeah. So I have 2 30-minute wrestling videos coming out with clips and full matches. I'll end it there. Again, you guys have to pay attention because those videos will be out. All right, so I'm going to go to some notes here. And yeah, so we talked about the overcomplication, full-time job and to a hobby. It's just, I don't know. It's definitely a hobby for you. Don't get me wrong. I think everybody would love to just be able to be like, oh, I'm motovlogging full-time. This is my job or whatever. It's so oversaturated with content that the rarity now, it's not 2014 anymore. There's so many, like in the motovlogging context, there's so many more of us out there, and YouTube is not paying what it was, and that's why there was that huge crash in motovlogging. And a lot of those guys got strung out. They went full-time. They went full-time into YouTube, quit their jobs. They're like, oh, I'm doing this. YouTube's paying me thousands and thousands of dollars. And I've told some people this before. Do not bank on this. This should never be the only thing that you do. Even though if you go full-time, you should always have something else on the side that's paying your bills. This should be extra money. And I'm not going to call the channel out, but I have seen and talked to the person who ran a channel that this has happened to. And they they put out a video basically saying, you know, they're doing this, they're basically starting like a YouTube business or whatever. And I kind of said, like, that's kind of weird because you just said you couldn't, you know, you weren't going to do this in this video, whatever. And we went back and forth. And needless to say, you know, it was a good constructive conversation, but they no longer do this. So that was literally the last video they put out. And then they went, I can't find them anywhere. So I don't know. They just like deleted everything and they're gone. So do not. I'm not saying don't try, and I'm not saying don't push yourself. I'm just saying don't put all your eggs in one basket, because you, like, the YouTube servers could go down tomorrow. Like, you never know. Like, banking on this, and you might be out of a job. Who knows? But you know, I'm just having fun doing this, and if I make something on it, great. And if Can Am wants to sponsor me and be in an ambassadorship, or if another, you know, company says, hey, you know, we want you to be our ambassador, we'll pay you, I'll entertain those ideas. But as long as I can pay my bills, I'm good. But yeah, the oversaturation is tough. And I think that affects a lot of people starting out, because they're like, oh, I'm not getting the views this guy's getting. I'm not, you know, I'm not getting the subs. I'm not getting the interactions and stuff. It takes a while. Like, it takes, like, that first 1,000 subs and getting up to that point, that's a grind. You've got to grind that out. And once you do, I know it's almost cliche, it becomes a lot easier. And most people do not make that grind. They'll get up to a certain point and they're like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere, I'm just going to stop. Or if they think it's a get rich quick scheme, you're like, oh, I'm not making anything yet. I'm like, dude, you're not even there yet. You know, you haven't made it to the point where YouTube would pay you anyway. So you got to keep grinding. So don't quit too early, basically, is what I'm saying on that. Now I got to catch up. I talk too much. I got to catch up again. I saw something about VAM. Yeah, so here's a good point from Spider Moose. If you're looking for a different type of camera, and he introduced me to this in one of his videos, I'm still somewhat interested in that camera. I've got it saved, and I'm looking at it, and I may look into that. But this is something too. Take care of yourself. This doesn't come first. Take care of yourself. The real people will stay. They'll wait for you to come back, or, you know, whatever. And that's that. You know, we'll always be here. Yeah, here we go. That's what I thought I saw. Yeah, so VAM is actually really cool. And VAM last year, so I went to the very first VAM. It was there was a few of us, quite a few, but there was enough where you can meet everybody. This year, VAM 22 was so big, I missed people. I missed Harley Girl. We crossed each other. We were at events. We never, like, met. So we have agreed, VAM 23, we are 100% going to find each other, or at some point find each other and meet up. Yeah. Oh, I'll have that Mountain Dew crash at some point. Oh man. You know what it is? You guys are making me laugh, and I'm coughing, and I'm drinking more. That's your fault. Here's a good point. I'm gonna check my notes. Yeah, I did kind of talk about time management, doing different stuff. So we'll get into that. So, do you have issues with content matching with wrestling stuff? Yes and no. I have. It doesn't get the views that the other videos get, and I know it's not. But I do have some people specifically asking me for this content, like DMing me, being like, they were either in the business before or they were fans or whatever, and they think it's wicked cool that I used to do that. And I know people in the business still to this day. And some of those guys are in AEW now, some are in WWE. So once I roll with those stories, you know, I think those types of stories, when I start talking about those guys, might get more views, but I'm okay with it. Like, I know, like, you know, one video that doesn't get 100 views isn't going to kill me at all. I'm cool with it. They say you don't want more than 20% of your revenue from YouTube. Yeah, something like that. And that's what I mean. Like, I think Walter Riffick's been pretty honest, and he said YouTube was paying his bills, but I half think he's lying. I know it was paying his bills, but he spent a lot of money on cars and bikes. So he's one of those guys during that 2014 boom period who I think went all in too much. And then I think he realized it and pulled back. But I think now he says the residuals are basically paying his bills. Yeah, so the merch and stuff like that. And I have a video coming out Sunday talking about my merch stuff. I don't know if anyone's noticed that I haven't talked about it recently, but there have been some developments. The Blackphoenix merchandise is fine. It's the other Lunified stuff that I went on a whole rant for. But watch that video on Sunday because I say it a lot better what happened there than I would here. I would hit multiple social media platforms. Facebook is okay. It's not bad. I would do it anyways, but I have found Instagram is probably the best one. And Reddit. I have gotten subs and views and DMs on Reddit for some of my videos. And I don't know. It's weird. Like there's no way to really see the analytics on that, but just from my personal experience, I have had people reach out to me and watch my videos from Reddit and TikTok. And I know what I do with TikTok is I take some of my random rides clips and I chop them up to like, one like little section and I'll post it. And I have more followers on TikTok and more views on TikTok than I do on YouTube. So that says that. Ways I promote, that's kind of the same thing. I throw up TikTok. To me, is easy. I've kind of broken the algorithm. If I post up a video of someone cutting me off and me yelling at them, that's gold to TikTok, But that's not always what I want to put up. I want to put up some funny stuff and some other things like that. So, Instagram, I'll throw some pictures up, tag a bunch of people, and tags are important on Instagram too. Videos, stories. I do have to get better with Instagram stories and Reels. I think they're pushing that more, but. Had to do this for hobby. We don't have the opportunity. Not many vloggers here. Yeah, and I think the Canadian season's a lot shorter for riding than it is in New England, if not the same. So, and this is the key. And I have seen larger channels fall into this trap. If you're forced to make content to make money to pay your bills, it changes you. And and again, maybe you've seen it in some of the vloggers you've watched that get bigger. They just stop having fun because they're like, oh crap, I got to make another video or I can't pay my internet bill to upload my video. So, and that's one of the reasons why I always want to have something else. I almost always want to have some sort of IT job and YouTube, just so I know I have money come in, I can pay my bills, I can take care of my family and just do this YouTube stuff for fun. Yeah, they have two different versions of that camera. I'll have to look up to see which one I was actually looking at. See, we've talked about this too. Like we may have even looked at each other and not even realized it. But yeah, we missed each other. And I may have been on Mountain Dew. I don't know. Oh, I might have been on Red Bull. Road trips, I do Red Bull, so that would explain a whole lot. So it might be my fault. Here's great. Some great advice from Bajaron in the island. Oh, look who made it. I'll let you guys read this and I'll talk about who just made it. Road Reality made it. Better late than never. Yep, grinding. It's a grind to get there. How far behind am I? I'm behind. I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to go through comments. Yeah, I know those guys. That's the era we came up with, mid-90s into mid-2000s, like that whole 10-year period. So name somebody I may have met him or wrestled with him or been in the locker room with him. Hey, Moto Noggin. Moto Noggin. Noggin Moto. Way too much Mountain Dew. Road Reality. Here we go. Here's a question. Oh, you guys just keep talking. Yeah, I'm way behind. I'm on questions from 921. How many cameras do you recommend using? You can use one. Like really, I started off with just one and just started vlogging. And then for most vlogs, I would have a second one looking at you. So you can kind of change it and split it up or whatever. And what I've noticed too is sometimes sunlight will screw that up depending on the time of day. So you have something to change the view so the sun isn't like messing things up. Let's see. Yeah, Reddit is tough and brutal. So I'm going to throw that out there too. It's good and bad. So your experience may vary. I do have a rant about Facebook too. That's going to be another video that comes out in November. I've been banned by some groups, so I don't know. Again, another hit or miss type thing. Yeah, so I started Rumble and I am on Rumble and I've thrown up some random videos on there, but I just don't have the time to constantly do both and upload or whatever. But I don't know, maybe that's something I should do this winter. Like during the winter, I'll have more time, so I'll have to make a note to myself for Rumble. Let's see. Yeah, this happens to the best of us. I'll make no comment about not watching things that I shouldn't on TikTok. I don't know about that one. I appreciate it, but I don't know. I gotta get more TikTok content out there. Let's see. So I'm gonna run over a couple more of my notes, and then I know I'm running up on almost an hour here. I'm gonna finish up some of my stuff, and then we'll just chat. We'll just hang out. It's a Friday night. Doing something different with your channel. Oops, hold on. And this is something that I found, and something I'm going to mention about the three-wheel community. And Thermos is still here. He'll attest to this. There is not a lot of straight-up moto vloggers on three wheels. There's a few of us. I'm not saying, but in comparison to two wheels, a lot of and I made a vlog that's coming out about this. They own garages, they own companies, they sell products. They're basically businesses, and their videos are commercials for their businesses, or they do installs or stuff like that. So finding an actual three-wheel motor vlogger is somewhat of a rarity. And I'll do both. I've done some install videos and stuff like that, but I mentioned this more in one of my videos coming out in November, because I kind of go on a little rant to what I do sometimes. But yeah, I would just take a look at what's going on. And even some of the bigger channels I've noticed, and I like Doodle, and I've talked to Doodle outside of YouTube. We've had conversations, and this is one of those things when your channel blows up and you go full time. She kind of changed a little bit. She's falling into the same YouTube trap. Same clickbait fucking. I swore. Sorry. same clickbait thumbnails. Same clickbait titles. All this stuff, and I was like, dude, everybody does that. Same like. It's just like this. I feel like it's all the same. Like once they get to a certain point, like the videos all play out the same way. And I was like, I don't know. That's why I like random rides. I just go out there and I ride and do random stuff, have interactions. So I don't know. I think just look at what you're riding, what other people are doing while you're riding, and just kind of see like what works for you. You know, like what can you do to set yourself aside? And I look at it like I said, there's not that many straight up three-wheel motovloggers, and not a lot of them do the humor stuff that I do. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to stick to that, especially more in season 4. I'm like, you're probably going to see more random rides, just more shenanigans, because why not? I can pull it off. Lists. They're good for when you're starting out. Like, oh, top 5 this, top 5 that. I've done them. I've done top 5 mods for the Spyder, riding tips, stuff like that. Not bad at all. But when they become every single one of your videos that you put out every week, it's a bit much. Like there are some channels where that's literally all they do is lists. And I'm like, all right, that's enough. You know, enough with the lists already. Go on with something else. But that's pretty much all I have for my notes. So I'm going to catch up with you guys and see what we're talking about. So here's a good thing to talk about. So in the motovlogging community, we've got compilation channels, which basically go around and they grab your content, they post it up to their channel and for a whole bunch of other people to see. It is a huge double-edged sword because most of it's toxic. Like you'll get a spike from it and some subs and some views, but other than that, you got to have some pretty thick skin because it's just people telling you you're wrong, basically, and bashing you. It's like 12-year-olds who don't even ride too. It's so weird. Hey, Tekimoto is here. I know I'm wicked late getting to you, but he's here. Matt the Greeter is here. I'm like 7 minutes late, but there you go. Black Ice is here. Everybody's here. I missed everybody because I was just talking. That's what I do. Yep, we're all jacked up on Mountain Dew. How many of us are drinking Mountain Dew? Had to. Oh, that's fun. That's funny. We owe Road Reality for pissing off his wife. But yeah, just we're past an hour. Hopefully this last hour has helped some people and people who are watching this after the fact. Hopefully it helped you with some tips. And this is what happens now on a BPE stream. We're just going to talk about random crap and who knows what's going to happen. So there we go. Thromo's doing Thromo's Moto things. Yep, Road Reality uses all the cameras all the time, literally. We love to talk. It's all the caffeine. Yeah, and I had mentioned that too. That like, throw caffeine in me, throw a camera on. I'm up to like 11. But now 12 because Thromo's Moto is here because he brings everybody up. Oh, a real question. Do you recommend people filming you doing your thing? If you can do it, yeah, because I don't want to speak for every motovlogger, but most of us are one-man shows. So I bring a tripod with me and stuff like that and film. If you could have somebody else come with you, you can get different shots. You could have chase cars, you could have someone walking with you, dolly shots, stuff like that. If you can do it, go for it. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like that with every social media platform now. And that's why I think the quality is better than the quantity, basically. Sorry, I just I'm getting DMs now. But yeah, so I would rather just put out less videos and know that those are the videos I'm putting out that are good. So I liked before anybody was here. Yeah, you've been around for a while. I definitely appreciate that. So there are ways around sunlight. I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm catching up on comments. So, but yeah, Road Reality is actually a really good guy to watch because he does a lot of the technical stuff and editing and things like that. So he does some good stuff. I'll check that out. Let's see. Smyrna Cowboy, found you. I'm also late saying that you're here, so we're even with that. Face everything. Let's see. Okay, that I'm gonna have to look up because that would make it so much easier for me. So thank you for that. And I'm so late. I don't know what facts I'm speaking, but yes, Purple on 3 is another awesome channel. So she does a good mix of both motovlogging, kind of travel content, and she does off the bike stuff too. So that she does a good mix. And here's a good one from Tech and Moto. So he does have a lot of content and a lot of good content with do-it-yourself stuff. So yeah, sometimes, like I said, sometimes more is not better. Let's see. You do humor. Yeah, sometimes. Not for everybody. Yeah. So yeah, unboxing. I that box behind me is stuff that I got sent. So yeah, I'm gonna do an unboxing at some point. I gotta do that video. All right, catching up. Yeah, no comment on channels like this. Like, yeah, we all know what their content is. Let's see. Oh, I'm caught up. I'm trying to catch up on stuff. All right, so hold on. Now I have to answer a DM. Here we go. Yeah, I had mentioned that earlier too, to get everything dialed in, as much as you could, templates, whatever settings you can do to make things easier, go for it. Copy. Here we go. Road Reality. Dropping that in. Is it going to go? It's going to go. So there's your link. Join up Road Reality if you're ready. He said he put his wig and makeup on or something like that. So I usually don't, but there are certain channels out there where I'll just burn you because I don't care. It's so blatantly obvious that you have no real content for anything. It's just like, look at me. Oh, here we go. All right. First guest to the stream. Are you ready? Oh, hold on. I can't hear you. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready.
Hey!
I hit the button too fast.
Is there an echo?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Is there an echo in here? I haven't dialed in my gear yet.
No, it's not echoing on my side.
Oh, I'm going to hear you better. I'm going to switch to headphones. Hopefully that works.
That's what happens when I have too much Mountain Dew. I'm like, hit the button. Oh, no, I'm not ready.
That's what happens every time.
I know.
Now, how do I change my speakers?
Right.
It would help to know how to work this thing.
Settings at the bottom. I think you can.
There we go. There we go. Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That means everybody else can too. He made the mistake of letting John into the stream.
There we go. Hey, it's after hours now. Do an hour of actual legitimate stuff. Now we just mess around. Shenanigans.
Oh, so I'm like the B-list actor. Yeah, great. Thanks. Oh my God, there's such a glare. What the hell?
Yeah, it's definitely glaring off your glasses.
I know, and they're new glasses too. I specifically asked for the YouTube special, and then I have everybody over there. It says the IT guy. Yeah, Frankie.
Are you scared to publish some of your videos, brother? No, the wrestling videos are coming out. I told you, they're already ready.
Always. I'm always scared to publish a video. What if the world doesn't like me? Wait, I'll drink to that. Yeah. Dude, it's my first one of the night. It's my first one of the night, big boy. I have been not riding or recording all week, so this is like my chance to shine and get my mojo going.
Yeah, get all that energy out.
Oh yeah, dude. When I go out, I can be like 4 hours of sleep, get on the Harley, turn the stuff on, go down the road, hit the record button on the remote, and then automatically it's just like boom. I go to like 14 and I'm like, hey, what's happening, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something stupid. That's kind of how all my videos begin now.
That's just a great intro. Today we're going to do something stupid.
You know what? I got to write that down. I've never actually said that. Where's my pen?
Yeah, that's great. You got to keep that one.
What questions were you unable to answer that I can help? Bye, Harley Girl.
Bye, Harley Girl's going. Thank you. Hope we were able to help out a little bit. Yeah, I got to scroll up and see. Someone specifically asked about something too that was right down your alley. Now I got to scroll up on the comments.
Yeah, and I
All
really
fun.
did kind of piss my wife off. We finished watching a TV show, and she was like, "Why are you trying to run away?" I was like, "There's a live stream that I want to go be a participant in," and she's like, "Ugh, just get out of here." It's like, all right, bye. If you figure out what that question is, that's
Yeah, I'm
great.
looking for it.
Fine. In the meantime, I will entertain our viewers. Don't forget to try the veal. It goes bad on Tuesday. I'm really looking funny because I'm trying to avoid the glare. These new glasses are horrendous. I haven't recorded an off-bike video in my porch in like 2 months. So you know what? I'm just going to take them off and be blind for a little bit.
There you go. You just need to hear things. That's
right.
all.
Exactly. The glasses I was wearing in like 2 years worth of videos, they were 13 years old. So it was time for new ones. But I already have like 4 videos around that, and I don't want to give away the surprise. It's not as exciting as you think it is.
All right. I cannot find that comment. So if they're still here, can you comment again? Because it was actually a really good question. All right. Let's see. Harley Grove. I don't monetize. Yeah. So my video coming out on Sunday, I have an update on my own monetization issues. So that'll be coming out.
The saga continues.
It continues.
Smyrna Cowboy, I have a question for you. Understanding that it's just a hobby and something you do for fun, you don't want to feel the pressure. Why not monetize? Even a couple of bucks a day makes a difference. You know, everybody thinks I'm making $100 a day, I guess, because as much content as I put out, but nope, I do it for the laughs.
Oh, I just broke my laptop.
That's okay.
That's
I'll
right.
keep entertaining our viewers. They're now our viewers. I've absconded with half of them. I expect my alimony of views and subscribers after this live stream.
It came back. Okay.
Oh, shoot. And I was going to run it all by myself. my done life. That was great.
Turn the night light on for the screens.
How the hell do you do that? Thanks, Massachusetts Paranormal Academy. I don't know how to do that. Night mode, huh? Usually, you know what? Usually I have a softbox light, and
see, this looks creepy. If I turn my light off, I mean, there's light, but
yeah, now you look like a, what do they call that? An incel, involuntary celibate person. John is taking over. My done life. You're right. I'm an invasive species. I show up on your YouTube feed, and then all of a sudden, it's all you see.
So my buddy Paul texted me and said I shouldn't have put the stream link in the chat. Using StreamYard, they don't instantly just go into the chat. They go into like a little room, like a studio, and you can either put them on or block them. So it's not like someone can just jump right in and hijack a StreamYard thing.
And just so you know, it's cramped in there, and the food is stale, and the drinks are watered down.
I know. I think Thrill almost forgot me one time. I was sitting there in the studio. I'm like, hello.
Yeah. Just left you in purgatory.
And then he messages me, he goes, dude, where are you? I'm like, I'm in the studio.
Yeah. I'm in the closet behind you. See, it's Halloween. We have to be spooky. And I forgot my wig this year. I think you had me on last year. That was the first live stream I'd ever done.
Yeah, I remember that. You were like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, it doesn't matter what we do. It's me. This is the best first live stream you can do.
I've come so far now. Smyrna Cowboy says if he's getting income, he'll turn it into a job. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the comment on screen now. That definitely does happen. I feel more pressure to take care of my YouTube channel than my children.
I think I would just buy more stupid things for the bike, which contributes into the channel, which would be entertaining for everybody. But then I'd probably just get yelled at. So
that's assuming you're entertaining to begin with.
If that's true. I mean, it's in the title, but I mean, you know.
Hey, we can't all be me riding around, smoking stogies, drinking coffee, dropping GoPros. You know, yeah. I still haven't gotten a replacement lens for that camera either.
No,
I'm like, I know you saw that video. I'm stuck in this. I have this clamp mount that I actually kind of like now, and I'm still working on tweaks to that to dial it in. And I've gotten a fair number of comments from people, generally not on YouTube, that are like, "Hey, I kind of like that point of view. It looks good." They're like, "Now you're not looking over to the side to talk to us. You're just leaning straight in." Creepy as that might sound.
Kids are resilient.
They are. I think Frank's got a couple of them. He dropped them on their heads when they were 2. Oh, I'm just mean. Yeah, kids are resilient. They look up to their mother. You know, it's about sending. We're going to tie this back into YouTube real quick. It's about setting boundaries and expectations. Children and YouTube viewers both respond to this equally. Okay?
Right.
My viewers expect a certain mediocre content from me about twice a week. My children expect a little bit of daddy time about twice a week. Other than that, it's mommy all the time. It's good times. You just drop them off the pool. Frank, thanks for sharing. Was it of the right consistency? Was it of the right consistency? That's what we all want to know. Should you see an oncologist or something? I don't know what goes on about that. I'm not old like Frank. Also, beware of Neptune's wrath. Okay, just saying. Moving on. Yes, Derek. His kids like him when they want money. Okay, we're going to rename Derek to Al Bundy.
Yep.
Yeah. See, he's got a button that puts the comments over there.
There's a slight delay when it comes up, and then I can put them up there. So
nice.
Yeah, the more I use StreamYard, the more I like it. I think it's one of the better streaming apps.
But can you get super thanks and stuff like that through StreamYard?
I don't know, because I'm using the free version, so I don't know, which lets me do like 6 people. But I know if you like pay for the next version, it gives you a whole bunch of other stuff.
It only lets you do 6 people? Hell, I had at least that many girlfriends back in the day.
In a row?
They were all geographically separated by at least 3 zip codes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there are rules to that. Yeah, you got to have zip codes in between them.
Yeah, and there was no labels on anything. Once a girl tried to put a label on it, we were done. Like, sorry, I'm moving on. I'm going to the next name on my spreadsheet. You wouldn't think that I'm that attractive, but if you lower your standards to like a 3 or a 2, then boom, Bob's your uncle, and John's going out with you. I know, right? You're regretting this already, aren't you, Ryan?
Nah.
Oh, shoot, we're not supposed to use real names.
That's fine. People know my name. People call me different names. I'm like, whatever. It doesn't matter.
He's like, what's my name? Good times.
There we go. It's got an oncologist on speed dial.
Excellent. One of those numbers is an 8, I guarantee you. Yep. So you never did find that question?
No, I didn't. It's just they either removed it or it's so far back I can't find it. So, but you're here now, so we can just,
I love it. This is like the highlight of my week right here. It has been a rather crappy week after spending 14 hours editing the same 3 hours of footage.
Oh, I saw that post you made. Yeah.
I found the limitations of Alex Audio Butler, the Clarity plugin, DaVinci Resolve, all in the context of my laptop. It could only handle so much. I've never seen my editing timeline stutter like that with only 2 camera streams going on simultaneously. It was ridiculous how much CPU and everything else this thing was using. But it's like a 34-minute video, so 3 people are going to watch it for about 2 minutes and go, I'm out.
That's a good point that I didn't bring up. Like the actual hardware and stuff you're using to create videos could make a difference.
Oh,
in the amount of time it takes to,
so
render a video and stuff.
I did a video 2 years ago when I bought this laptop, and I saw a 500% increase. See you later, Mike Wilbike. Take care. It's good to see you. I saw a 500% increase in my render speed buying the new laptop, which meant that my 2-hour renders were now like 20 minutes. And
nice.
It made life so much more pleasant because I didn't mind doing a render and then going back and fixing something.
Right. Yeah, I know there was a checkbox for Filmora, and I don't know why this wasn't the default to use the GPU graphics card for rendering. Once I found that, it cut everything in half. I'm like, why isn't this the default setting? Like, you would think it would be for that type of, software, but.
Well, hell, at least it's a checkbox. In Resolve, right. You have to buy the studio version to get certain parts of it GPU accelerated.
Oh, wow.
They started giving one portion of it. It was either the render or the decoding. One of them is part of the free version now, and it'll GPU accelerate it. But the other part, you need a GPU for it. It's just, it was such a game changer to have it.
Yeah, that's
consuming content and eliminating waste at the same time. Yeah. we watch videos on the porcelain throne.
What's your PC specs?
Is that for Ryan or for me?
I think that's both of us. We can both answer that.
Okay,
you said you use. All right, I'll go first. So I use my gaming desktop for this. So I've got a 8-core, 4 gigahertz CPU. I'm only running 16 gigs of RAM, which for the most part works. I've never seen that max out. Now for my video card, I'm running an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super. So
2080 Super.
2080 Super, yeah. And it does the job. It's not the newest one, but it's pretty decent for what it is. It's got 8 gigs of dedicated memory to it. So
I'm trying to see my setup, how many CPU threads I have. I have 12 logical processors.
Nice.
But I have an i7 10750H CPU, so it's a CPU built for laptops, I do believe.
Right.
And then I have 32 gigs of RAM and a 2070 Super GPU. So very similar, but
that's
slightly down. But it really, the 32 gigs comes in handy when I'm trying to watch YouTube and render a video and check my email at the same time. But actually, it really comes down to the editing software, because as far as I know, something like Filmora doesn't use as much resources as something like Resolve, where it'll scale to a supercomputer level. People throw $30,000 machines at Resolve just to do their editing, and it still takes them 10 hours to render each frame. So I watch a lot of channels that use Resolve, and they're like 5 million plus, and they're like, yeah, it took us 6 hours to render every frame in this video. I'm like, oh yeah, that's serious. Me, I'm like locking it down to 50 FPS.
Yeah. So see, help somebody already.
Yep. And I've got a gaming laptop. It's an MSI, by the way, and it's been awesome for the last 2 years.
And that's probably what I would suggest if someone didn't already have something and they wanted something. I'd be like, find a gaming laptop or a gaming PC, because it'll mostly have the specs that you need to do basic stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the Venn diagram of gaming and video editing are intertwined. Yes. Right. The biggest difference between a gaming setup and a video editing setup is going to be usually using the studio version of your drivers instead of the gaming ones. And also that games peak and valley quite a bit. So you'll have 5 seconds of heavy GPU usage and then back down. Whereas video editing is up to 100 and just solid all the way. I see Road Riders asked, do you delete old videos that you've posted off your hard drives? The answer is I keep the rendered video and I delete the raw footage, because only the best gets into the finished video, and then I can use it for something else.
So remember we were talking about, I don't know how long he's been in there, but I just noticed you. There we go.
Hey, Travis, you made it out of purgatory.
Yeah, let me know if I'm a little too loud. I know how this mic can be pretty hot.
No, it sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
very white you are.
I've been there long though.
Yeah, how's the food in there?
Yeah, the chips are soggy, man. It's
yeah, we don't like soggy chips.
But the Cap Morgan's is always.
Oh, there you go. So SI Ryker, I don't want my hard drive to crash, and it fills up. So about once a quarter, I have to go through and delete old footage to make room for new stuff.
And that's a good point with using a laptop, because you only got so much hard drive space on there.
Let me just kind of explain a couple of things. The laptop has a 1 terabyte SSD built in. OS, Resolve, that's it. That's on there. Then I have 2 SSDs, each a terabyte, that my active footage that I'm editing goes into, because otherwise you're not going to edit with any kind of smoothness off a hard disk drive. It can't handle the simultaneous streaming of files. A hard disk, I have 2 hard disk drives. One's 4 and one's 8 terabytes. And those are regular hard disk drives that store archive footage and other sundry items.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That makes more sense.
Well, you're really gonna choke when I tell you what I've got. So I've got a total of 3 terabytes of SSD storage. The rest of the 26 terabytes of total storage on this machine is large drives. Then to my left is my server, and that's got another 32 terabytes of storage.
Baller.
Well, there you
I
go.
keep all the raw footage, but I usually delete I'm complete opposite. So I keep all the raw stuff because I'm like, maybe I'll go back and redo something or reuse it. And I'm like, I'm complete opposite.
I keep most of it, and I once, because I got a full tower gaming machine, so it's just filled with drives, and I have specific drives for, videos and games and stuff like that. But once that drive gets full, I'll offshoot it to an external, free it up, and then just keep going again. So
yeah,
Autobots, roll out.
So yeah, that's my custom machine.
Well, thanks for supporting the Cowboy for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Yep,
Mosey on, partner. Mosey on.
Yeah, I've got a 3900X, 12 core, 24 thread, 32 gigs of RAM. Like I said, ton of storage. I got a 1 terabyte, all my operating system, stuff like that. The 2 terabyte I use is kind of my cache drive for when I'm doing video editing. And then it's also where all my games are stored now. And then, like I said, I got a couple other drives that are really, really large. If you ever want large drives and you want them cheap, watch Best Buy, because from time to time, the WD drives that they carry, and they're specific to the ones they carry there, go on sale, and you can get huge storage for very little money.
Nice.
I've seen 12 to 14 terabytes go for $200-ish.
Damn. All right. Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's nice.
Most people don't realize they're white drive. They call them white drives, but the white drives are basically red, high capacity drives like you use for, NAS storage and stuff like that. They just didn't quite make the cut, so that's what they're using. So,
okay.
I ran out of ports on my USB hub.
I shuck mine. So I literally take them, and there's videos on YouTube showing you how to crack these things open, and I shuck them out. There's a mod you have to do where you have to cover this one pin on the power connector, and otherwise they work fine. And I use them just as regular drives shoved into my desktop.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm out of bays. I've got every single hard drive bay filled with something. So,
well, this laptop that I'm using to be on the live stream is the same one I do the video editing on, and I don't think you want all of this around all of that. I've been kind of noodling how to do like a smoke filtration device on the front of a desktop, so I can get like a full tower full of drives and just crank up my production warehouse, but haven't come to the solution yet.
But yeah, you're absolutely right though. Gaming, the gaming machine is a good editing machine. They're hand in hand.
Yeah, I've been happy with mine so far. And honestly, going back to the question of why delete the footage, like a lot of my rides that I delete were just me riding to work and back. The rides where I'm actually going somewhere and I'm seeing something interesting, I'll keep that footage. That's fine. And then I just delete the other regular crap. They're entertaining for a day and then they stop getting views. So why keep the footage?
Right. Yeah, I kind of do the same thing. Like some of those special videos and stuff, I kind of dump into a folder, and I've got like a folder basically that says all final videos. Like I'll upload it and then dump them into that. So I have a way to go back and sometimes I'll piece out clips from those too. If I do, certain.
Yeah, they've already been edited.
Right. So I'm like, I can just take this and throw it on TikTok or do something like that. So.
Good.
Looks like everyone's running out of caffeine here. Comments have stopped rolling.
We're down to 10 people watching. I really know how to clear a room.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun though, going down to VAM. I wish I could have actually done the back of the Dragon. Timing wise, I had enough time to get down and meet everybody. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And for anybody who hasn't done one of those events, I mean, there are different ones across the country. VAM just happens to be one of them. They're a great way to collab and meet other YouTubers and things like that. I kind of got into this not only just as a hobby, but I also did it, because I wanted to meet other people, other like-minded people, whether it's a live stream or whether it was in person. Pandemic, we got to learn how to do a lot of live stream. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I do this for fun. I don't never plan a career in it.
Yeah,
I wanted the fame and fortune. I'm in it for the ducats, as the kids would say.
But I wouldn't mind some of that sponsorship, parts for my bike. That'd be nice. But
oh yeah, absolutely. When I won Purple on 3's Bond body armor giveaway, the video went out and the owner of Bond commented on it like, man, we knew you won, but we didn't expect such a fun video. So I commented back like, yeah, if you need another brand ambassador, John's the guy. And they were like, very politely, we're going to have to decline. They're like, we'll keep you in mind. I was like, yeah, all right. I probably shouldn't have put him on blast out on the old social media like that, but it happened.
Yeah, sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. Shade Tree talks about it all the time, how, brands just kind of snub at them, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It, like I said, it's brands they have a certain personality type they like to work with, and
yeah, that's
I've seen that too. Yeah,
I've seen that with the Can Am thing, and some people have mentioned it too. And you know what? I stay neutral at it. I'm like, they know what they want to do. They know the direction they want to go in. They know of me, so like I've had conversations with them, but yeah,
it's kind of interesting considering, with you and Purple on 3 are really the what I call the bigger ones that I know as far as Can Am riders on YouTube. So, promoting the brand, I think would be a thing they would be interested in doing.
I'm really surprised they haven't reached out to Purple on 3. Like that she fits their, MO but to a T.
Right.
Of what they're looking for, and me just totally different. Now that I have a Ryker, from the older Spyder, like I got the point. I was riding an older machine. They want to promote their newer stuff or whatever. Now that I have a newer one, they probably want to see what I do with it and then go from there. But yeah, looking at like some of the other people that they've picked as their ambassadors, I'm like, okay, I get it. Not mad. I'm just like, that's the direction that they're going in.
Yeah,
they're looking for a certain image. I mean,
right.
You can fit it or you don't. And the key point is to not compromise who you are to get the sponsorships.
Right. Yeah, like we're still going to do stupid things, Can Am. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, and you talked about it earlier, and I watch Doodle too, and I have seen her content change, and I get it. It's she's got to earn a living at the end of the day, and most of her stuff's okay. Like I don't mind. Like she usually pokes fun at some of her clickbait, titles and stuff. Anybody that's watched videos kind of knows what you're walking into on one of those kind of videos, but yeah, you're not wrong. I'd had conversations on Instagram with Purple on 3, and she was always super, super nice. Her and Tommy G both, and then get to meet him in person. And I told her, I said, the first time we meet, I want a hug. Like she's that kind of person. Like, and she was totally down for it. So as soon as we actually met them at the hotel, they were all sitting out having drinks and talking, and so yeah, like I said, that was a lot of fun. And they're really super nice people. I couldn't say enough nice things about them. But yeah, you're right. I'm kind of surprised she doesn't have something.
And now that her channel's blown up, she's done a great job with it, and she's found her groove. And I'm like, I don't know. They must know of her. Like that's the thing. Like there's no way they don't know she's there. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, that's
it's
just
her, Blackphoenix Entertainment, and Thrill Mouse Moto. Those are the only three-wheel channels I know, short of a couple of guys that ride the Harley Tri-Glide.
right. And what's weird with Thrill Mouse is he's like in that group, but he's not an official ambassador. I don't know if he's still watching or not, but like they'll send him stuff, like they'll talk back and forth, but they won't, give him that official title. But like he wasn't this year, but last year when Can Am was doing their reveals, he snuck me into like their live video. He's like, "Oh, hey, here's the link." So, because they sent him one. So I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll see what's going on." But it's just stuff like that. This is like, you got a few extras. You got, maybe some input and stuff. And I don't know, maybe they're afraid because they know I'm just going to say nothing but about, add a turbo to this, do this, give this more power. Like everything people on the forums have been saying and screaming at them for years, I would be that voice and be like, hey, this is what people are saying. I don't know if you've been hearing it for the past 5 years, but this is, what they're looking for.
They need a CVO model with a bigger engine.
Basically, what the engine that's in my Ryker, the 900 Ace, for the snowmobile, they make what they call a 900 Ace turbo. It's literally the same thing with different pistons and I think a different cam with a turbo. It could fit. It's literally the same motor with those different things.
Well, yeah, you harden some of the internals and you're good to go.
Right, so that's what they did. So it's the same. I know the size will fit and a turbo will stick out a little bit, but you can adjust for that. And then
even a supercharger or something would be
like for the Ryker brand of what they're doing. It's like you want to, you want to promote this to younger people. You want to promote this like a sports model. There's your motor. You already have it. You already have the deal with Rotex to make it.
right.
Make a limited edition. Make 2,000 and be like, all right, how do they sell? What are people saying about them? Sometimes you do have to take that chance.
So I have to play contrarian. I wonder if with the turbo, they can't make it handle well enough to remain in their margin of safety.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Because now that I've got it tuned and in sport mode and I had Bill take off a lot of that stuff, it's a handful. And it's not, and it's bone stock. I have nothing else done to it but the tune. And he's, kind of took off some of those aids and stuff. I can get completely sideways and I'm counter steering to get it to come back. I'm like, okay, this is what I was looking for. And it's a lot of fun, but I can see how someone who's not used to that or doesn't want that can kind of be taken back by it and be like, oh, this is kind of getting, too much.
And, we mentioned Purple on 3, not once, not twice, but thrice. And she's in the side chat. Oh, hi, Jody.
He made it.
I was going to wear my Bond body armor tonight, but I didn't want to get it all smoky.
Yeah, you're right. We have been talking about her. Her ears must have been burning.
Yeah, or her nose was itching, or Tommy's nose was itching. Who knows? But she's here now.
This is what's scary, this comment here. He's absolutely right. The 900 Ace is on the smaller end of their turbo motors.
So I'm an idiot when it comes to snowmobiles, but it seems to me that even a snowmobile with a giant ass turbo motor on it, unless you're riding through the forest, you fall and you slide in some snow versus sliding across the highway. So I can sort of see why they'd put a bigger motor in a snowmobile.
Right. So some of those motors will make upwards of 140 horsepower to 160 on a snowmobile. And I don't know how much snowmobiles weigh, but throw that on a 600-pound Ryker, that would be insane.
That's all that thing weighs is 600 pounds?
I think it's 600 dry. So probably 650, I would say,
Wow.
everything in it. But
that's like a middleweight bike.
Yeah.
I would say that's basically about the weight of my Dyna. I mean,
but so the Spyder, I did that comparison video on it, weighed almost 800 pounds. And I thought it was lighter just because of the way it handled and everything, but that thing weighed more than I thought it did. And then the power to weight difference. So that's why the Ryker seems so much faster. They weigh almost 200 pounds less.
Now you don't have any of the bags or anything on it.
No, right? Yeah, it's just straight up.
I don't know how you do it. I couldn't have my only bike be one with no storage on it. I just carry too much crap with me everywhere I go.
It's tough. I got a little a bag that I strap to the back of it for now, but because I do want to go to VAM 23, so I'm gonna start looking for storage and stuff, see what I can do with it. Yeah,
that was and I fell into the category when I first started riding. I'm like, I had a Sportster. I was like, I don't need a windshield. I don't need bags. I don't need none of that crap. By the time it was done, I was literally throwing all that shit on the bike because I'm like I get tired of getting hit in the face with a bug or a rock,
Right.
Oh
and
yeah.
always needing to store something, in the bags. And I'll be honest, I wish now, like, don't get me wrong, I love riding the Dyna, but I don't necessarily love riding it two up. It's very weird. Like, and this was something I kind of got into on the way back from VAM. In fact, I had Mr. McStash sit on the bike. I'm like, does this not feel right? And I had him shake the handlebars, and with all the weight that I had on the bike, like the whole frame kind of wiggled. And they always talk about the Dyna death wobble, but because of the way they built the frame and the rear swing arm and all that. But it's a very weird bike when it's fully loaded and I'm two up. Not that you can't ride it two up, it's just it has weird road manners. Like it does kind of, like when you're in a turn, like it turns, but it kind of does this just a little bit, and it's very unnerving when you're riding it.
It sounds like the front end's getting light.
Not with my fat ass on it, let me tell you.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Honestly, I have very little when I'm fully loaded with that bike. I have very little front suspension travel left.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, and I think it's just the way the bike was designed. I mean, it really wasn't truly meant as a two-up bike. But I added the hard saddlebags. I ended up putting the like tour pack that I attached to a extra sissy bar that I had. And it stores a ton of stuff, honestly, for as little of a bike as it is. But I definitely kind of wish now I had a Road King or a Straight Glide. Yes. That may possibly happen if I can talk the wife into.
But let me stop you right there. Spend the extra couple of grand more and just go for the Ultra Limited or the Road Glide Ultra. You will thank me later. As somebody who has a Street Glide, I now have a 1-of-1 Ultra Limited in Billiard Blue because I've added damn near everything you can get on the Ultra Limited except for the twin cool motor. I have the tour pack, the saddlebag guards, and since nobody's really watching, I'm getting heated grips as we speak.
There are people here.
I know there's people here. We have royalty in here. Jody's in, but I'm getting heated grips installed soon, so I'll have that portion of it. And I added a windshield and all the other accoutrement that the Harley Elite like to have on their full dresser. I've added it to the Street Glide, so I basically have an Ultra Limited with a lowered suspension.
Yeah, do they offer, like, I don't know if they, Harley or whatever promotes it, do they do like a 2-up second spring or something like that for you guys, or adjustable suspension for stuff like that?
They have a preload adjuster on the left shock in the back, and that's all you get. But if you buy the Ultra Limited or the Road Glide Ultra, you get a 13-inch shock, and if you buy a Street Glide Special or a Road Glide Special, you get a 12-inch shock.
You get the stuff. Okay.
So you have 2 inches of rear suspension travel. It ain't much before your spine starts compressing and you're reaching for the Advil.
My Dyna, the shocks that I actually have on it are off of, somebody bought 12 inchers out for a Road King and was like, it's not enough suspension.
Yeah.
So
yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, and that's how I ended up with a set of Legend shocks. But I'll be honest, I wish they were the heavy duties because they're like, oh well, if you're more than 250 pounds, well, I'm 250 pounds, so it's like
I'm 250 pounds if I put my finger on the scale.
I literally have them cranked all the way up. Like they're pretty much as tight as I can make them.
Yeah.
To ride 2 up, and I had so many problems with where it was rubbing the turn signal wiring in the fender.
Oh geez.
So that whole fiasco, and I have videos on that. Anybody wants to really want to watch?
I remember watching you going through that.
Yeah, it was such a nightmare. Well, and that caused me to miss not this past year's, but the previous year. I was supposed to go to VAM. I literally was packed up, ready to go, start going down the road. Went to hit the right turn signal. I'm like, that's not working right. So I came back to the house and started looking, and the whole wiring had been chewed through.
Wow.
we had rode the weekend before, again with Mr. McStash. I rode the triple nickel with him, and me and the wife were riding 2 up on it. So yeah, it was a bit of a mess, and it was one of those things. My only resort was to do away with the Harley turn signal taillights and get a single brake light turn signal combo. That was the only way to get rid of that wiring, and so it would
Right. Yeah.
And you know what? That's not just a Harley problem, because my Vulcan 800, when it was stock, had a problem where I would hit a bump, and it was just an intermittent random thing. I carried spare fuses in my jacket because I'd hit a bump and my dash light would go out and my rear turn signals and rear tail light would go out. And it happened at night all the time. And my wife was riding a lot more back then. We were dating, so she'd follow me on her Honda Shadow so that somebody wouldn't rear end me. But it happened enough. And then I took the bike into my mechanic and I was like, I want a back off module installed on the rear light. And when he rewired that rear section, it totally went away. It was no longer an issue. And now I don't even have the stock turn signals on my bike, so it's even less of an issue. And if you want to, just a second, can I run things for just like 12 seconds? Thank you. You want to talk uncomfortable? I love my bobber. I love the way it looks, and yeah, that's kind of where it ends. I can ride that bike for like 45 minutes. Springer seat and the stock shock. It is like the most uncomfortable thing, and I'm just like making a chiropractor and a proctology exam visit afterwards, because it's just, the Springer seat just has like no give to it, even though it's a spring. I'm too heavy for it, I think, and it's wildly uncomfortable. So every time my Harley goes in for service, my wife's like, just ride your bobber. And I'm like, how about you ride my bobber and tell me what you think of it? The bike looks great. It's photogenic. People on Instagram love it more than anything else I post. But the damn thing is good for like half hour, 40 minutes. Then you're like, yeah, I'm taking a break now.
And that's always been my like, I agree. I love the look of a bobber. I love the look of a hardtail bike, but I absolutely wouldn't own one, because you're exactly right. Half an hour, 45 minutes, I'd be, oh.
Dude, mine's not even a hardtail. It still has the shocks. I don't even know, 1 or 2 in the back. It still has the factory suspension, but it's just not enough because there's no give, because the seat's like this thick, and people on YouTube are like, well, it's 14 inches. No, it's 2.5 inches thick. They make a thicker one now, which I might order in the off season now that my bike is no longer parked out behind my house. So yeah, that's another good thing, by the way. Park your bike where you can get at it, because then you'll ride it more. Yeah, everybody's mine's in the shed with 3 cars in front of it. That's the reason it didn't get rode for 2 months. Right. And my bobber sits out back, and I got to go up a slight hill, and I dig out the grass every time I ride it. So we've recently had siding put on our house, and they showed up early and started demoing the house, and they poked a hole in the shell that my bike was in. I was like, well, there goes that. My wife looked him up. The company's out of business. Thing's $500. And I'm like, well, I'm not buying another one. So now it's parked in my trailer next to my Harley. But I strapped it down so it doesn't fall onto the Harley.
Oh, there you go.
Safety first for the Harley Queen. She's got to be, she's been living by herself for 3 years. Now she has a roommate. So
I'd say she's sharing a room now. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta be cognizant of that. But I'm thinking about putting the thicker seat on there. Oh, you want to talk stiff, right? Your Dyna's stiff. My wife has a Sportster 1200 Custom that was lowered, and the suspension is a progressive, I think 444, set up for a 100-pound woman. My wife and I don't weigh 100 pounds, boss. I ride that thing for like a half an hour, and I pull up to the house, and I'm like, toss me a crowbar, babe. I got to get off this bike. It's horrendous. And then it's got Vance and Hines short shots on it, which I installed baffles in, and it didn't make a damn bit of difference. It still gives me a headache after half an hour with earplugs in.
Yeah, when I had my Sportster, it had the same 444 shocks, and they're terrible.
That's one thing about buying like modded bikes, especially for someone like that, like a certain size. You're like, that's all it's good for. Like someone that same size would have to get it, and they wouldn't have to change anything. Like whoever bought my Spyder, like I know the kid who bought my Spyder, I told him everything. I'm like, this is a racing suspension. This is stiff as hell. You can adjust it, but he's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'm like, All right.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, as long as you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, but here's the deal. My wife bought the 2013 Sportster in the fall of 16 with like 1,500 miles on it for $7,000. It was $3,000 undervalued. It had a scratch where it looked like somebody might have dropped it while it was standing still on the right saddlebag. No scratches anywhere else. All the pegs, all the hand grips, and everything else were all custom. It was all Harley parts and accessories. It had the Diamond and Ice Bedazzling collection on it, and it had the Vance and Hines Screaming Eagle intake, Dyno Tune Power Commander, and the suspension, and a clip-on windshield. So it was like somebody spent like 16 or 17 grand on this bike, and then she bought it for $7,000 a couple of years later with next to no miles on it. The damn bike only has like 3,300 miles on it now because my wife doesn't ride. And I'm just like, don't sell it, honey. Just give it to me and let me spend like $2,000 to put it back towards stock a little bit, and it'll be a great little rider. And
I don't know. Right now, you could probably make more money than you paid for it. And the Sportsters are selling for ridiculous money right now.
That is very true. That is very true. But it's her bike, and I'm not allowed to sell it. But I'm not willing to ride it much either. So there's that. Right. So it literally has not been fired up in more than a year.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I put fuel stabilizer in it last fall. I didn't think I'd actually need it.
Yeah, my bike, before I put it away, I not only did I do the stabilizer, but I also put non-ethanol fuel in it.
Yeah, I can't.
That's a good idea. After work, I rode the bobber today, and I put seafoam in the tank before I went on the ride, and I rode to the gas station, and I was like half a mile from there, and it started doing this number. I was like, the hell am I getting? 25 mpg? Jesus Christ. So I pulled in the gas station, and the damn thing took 3 gallons. I was like, yeah, okay. But then I got home, and I put fuel stabilizer on top of it, so it's double protected. And Jody's here, so I won't say the thing I really want to say, but it's double protected. I'm going to watch my jokes. We have a lady present. Everybody act accordingly.
Hey, guys, we're doing pretty good. 2 hours. We still got 12 people watching. Unless they just like left it on and just walked away,
Well, that could have been.
That's okay.
Listen,
yeah, it's still views, so we're good.
Ryan, I'm treating it like every one of my videos. Hey, look, I had fun making it, so that's all that matters.
Hey, yeah.
It's funny you talk about strapping the bike down, make sure it doesn't fall and hit the Harley. The Dyna I bought, and I got it for a hell of a deal for when I bought it and what they were going for. I'd still probably break even with the money I got invested. But the thing that just irks me to no end, and I knew it was going to be this way when I bought it. So my bike has a numbered custom Harley paint job.
Oh, geez, yeah. One of 500 or one of 1,500?
Yep. One of 100. Yeah. It's one of 150.
Oh, geez, that's even worse.
Yeah. So
wait. I gotta stop you. Is your bike purple?
No, it's blue.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So it's blue. It's got flames and it's got like ghosted flames and skulls in it. So the front fender definitely got messed up by one of the previous owners. But it also on the left side, if you're sitting on it, that side of the tank is slightly dented in. And I wanted to get it fixed, but I also don't want to get it fixed because I'm in that point where like right now I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna ride it. I don't care. But in the same boat, I want to get it fixed because it drives me bonkers. But I also don't want to get it fixed because it's a numbered paint job. I'll spend a fortune getting that matched, and try to match it anyway.
If they can match it, yeah, that stuff's hard.
And I did find out from the dealer, my bike was originally silver, so this was one of the 10 kits that were bought out of the catalog. So something that was added after the fact. But honestly, if it was still in good condition, I absolutely would be like, literally every tin has ghost flames in it and skulls, and my wife loves the color. But yeah, I really really torn.
Oh, dude, I would be like, if you could do a PDR, get a PDR guy in there who's really good to pull out the dents. Tanks, I understand, are really hard without cracking the paint. But the fender, like if there's like a close touch-up paint, just so you don't notice it every time.
Yeah,
I
it's
would go
more
that
it's more
route.
of like scratched up on, like chunks of the paint are kind of somewhat missing out of the fender.
Okay, so it's not just a straight scratch that you
Nah.
can buff out a little bit.
No, it's well past that mark.
Uh,
Story
is it-
I got when I bought the bike was, and it wasn't from the guy that I bought it from. It was supposedly the guy he bought it from. One of his kids got on the bike, dropped it, knocked it into something else, and that's what caused the damage. But
that's painful.
yeah, I bought the bike with less than 7,000 miles a little over a year ago. So it was hardly ever ridden.
Yeah.
Which has caused me some problems. I had to completely redo the brakes and the hoses, and I had to rebuild the calipers and all that this past year. So fair warning, low miles on a bike isn't always a good thing.
Oh yeah. If it's low miles and under 5 years old, that's fine. If it's low miles and 15 years old, then you've got a problem.
Yeah, it's an 06. So
yep. Hey, look at that. I was 2 years off. Look at me.
That's the same thing about cars, though. They're like, oh, I want to find a bar find car. I'm like, no, you don't.
No, if you like replacing rubber and plastic, yeah, go ahead. Right. My KZ had a problem where you could either set the idle and there's an adjustment for the air fuel mixture.
Mm-hmm.
You could either set those for cold or hot, but not both, because when it got hot, the cracks in the airbox opened up or closed up or whatever they did, and it started idling at 3,000 RPMs. But if you stopped on the side of the road while it was running and adjusted the idle down to 1,500, where it's supposed to be, then the next time you went to start it, it wouldn't start. So it wasn't until I replaced all of the boots on the 4 carburetors to the intake box that it actually started to run okay. Derek, good to see you. Take care.
Yep, we got Derek. Thanks for stopping by.
Yep,
and we got
and DFW.
Fire Moose.
Later.
Yeah, we're almost at the 2-hour mark. So
so we only got 2 more hours to go. We're good. I can keep us rolling. Trust in me. I got you covered, fam.
How have you guys been with parts? About getting parts.
I haven't ordered any parts, but I know I've got some stuff that the Harley's going to need, and the dealer has them all in stock. So they're doing a little better on the supply chain, I think. A year ago, not so much.
Yeah, the older Spyder stuff, I had to go off of eBay and grab like a brake booster and some other stuff, but the dealer would have been just waiting. They would have had to order stuff. They don't stock like the older stuff anymore. But Can Am's actually kind of behind. Like they're behind on orders in general, like a lot of the electronic stuff. So like they have bikes that they haven't even built yet because they just don't have the ships and the wire and stuff for it.
Hey, at least they're not Ford, not able to ship trucks because they don't have enough blue oval badges. They ran out of badges.
Yeah, that's stupid.
We don't need no stinking badges.
And that's kind of a dumb thing to run out. Like, seriously, you'd think you'd have someone local that would make that shit or something.
It's like when Popeyes runs out of chicken tenders. It's happened to me.
You remember when it was horrible to get a chicken sandwich from Popeyes? I mean,
yes. The place near me, near my office, they were featured on the national news because somebody got stabbed.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I'm sure that was down the street from where I work. Yeah.
I know exactly what I remember watching that video going, what
I was like, I'm going through the drive-thru to get a chicken sandwich. I'm armed. I wasn't actually armed. It was a lie. But hey, if Maryland State Police is watching, I'm not carrying, all right?
Yeah, I had some troubles getting parts for the dyno, which really surprised me.
This is what I waited for too. The stem bolt was the recall on the Ryker, so it's literally just like a bolt that they replace, and people are waiting for that.
Home Depot has those. Grade 8. You're good. $1.50 for a 3-pack.
You know what's funny? I know a guy that did that. He was like, I don't care because when you go for the recall, it goes through the dealer and they put it through the system and all that. He goes, I don't care about any of that. I'm just going to find out what the bolt is, change it, done.
Yep.
So,
That's how I did half the hardware on my bobber. I had to buy a bunch of bolts, and I had one of each, and I was like, somebody else boogered the heads on these, and I'm done. So I just went and I bought a bunch of bolts at Home Depot, and I used those. Wait, that's somebody else was me. Never mind. But I did replace the bolts. I'm bad about bolts, man. When I was bobbing this bike out, I was taking one of the parts off, and I didn't have the right wrench. So I grabbed an adjustable wrench, and I broke it in half. I put so much torque on the damn thing trying to loosen a bolt, and I broke it in half. I was like, oops, my bad.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's what I mean about the electronics, steering sensors, any sort of sensor. It's just like
the beginning of the season when I started, having the whole brake issue and started replacing stuff and brake lines. I mean, they're made and they're sitting on a shelf typically. I can find the front brake line for my bike for nothing. Nobody had it in stock. I literally had to go to a custom shop that happens to be an hour west of me and send mine to have it made. That was the only way I could get it.
That's crazy.
If you happen to need a custom brake line, I know a good shop. They turn them in 24 hours once they get them.
Nice.
That's not bad.
So basically 3 days, the day take it off, ship it, a day for them to make it. They shipped it back the next day.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, and it's real. Don't get me wrong, it's a real nice brake line too. I mean, the quality's there. Well, it's nice having a shop that I could drive to if I really wanted to.
Yeah, everything's drivable if you got time.
Yeah, but even when I first bought the bike, like I needed, the brake cap gasket or sealer, whatever you want to call it. It took 5 weeks for Harley to get it in.
Took you 2 minutes to go down to AutoZone and get some JB Weld.
Amazon.com, let me tell
you. Dude, I use gaffer's tape on everything. Give me a break.
I did end up ordering the Harley one because everyone always complained about the Amazon, but for a while I did. I went ahead and ordered the Amazon to get me through for 5 weeks. I'm like, this bike is not sitting for 5 weeks. It's not happening.
I don't blame. Dude, I got a great story about Amazon versus Harley parts. So a couple of years ago, or a year and a half, whatever, it was recommended to me to get the fairing wind deflectors for my Batwing fairing on my Street Glide. And the guy that recommended them has an ultra limited. So they come from the factory on an ultra limited. That's one thing I've added to my Street Glide that makes it more like an ultra limited. I went on Amazon and I looked at like half a dozen products that were fairing wind deflectors for like $35, right? The Harley part is $125 or something like that. And I looked at all the reviews and I spent hours researching this stuff. And I came to the realization that the majority of the people that bought the Amazon product either had to do some custom fitting, buy their own hardware, or it just didn't fit. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy the Harley part and I'm good to go. And I found a dealer an hour away that had them in stock. They were the only ones that had them. So I rode all the way up there, bought the things, came back, installed them. They fit perfect. They work great. I did a video on it. Last week, I got a comment on that video. The Amazon one for $30 works just as good. You save $90 over the Harley part. And I just said, thank you for your experience. It kept moving. I was like, dude, you obviously didn't do the research. I did, because anybody that knows me knows I'm doing a ton of research before I just jump into something. Why didn't they warn me about marriage?
Yeah, you're already in trouble. You can just keep going, right?
Yeah, I've already started digging. I got quick draw on my shovel. I'm good to go. China, here I come.
I can't touch that one with a 10-foot pole and a jar of Vaseline.
I don't need the Vaseline. I tried to get him to spit out his drink. It didn't work.
No.
Oh, man.
No, my wife and I have a love-hate relationship.
We love each other. We don't like each other most of the time.
Yeah, that's how it works.
There's a reason why we worked opposite of each other for the first 11 years of our marriage.
Yeah.
Now we work the same shift at the same place.
Oh my God, it's painful. You commute together too?
We do sometimes. Most of the time though, we go in roughly at the same time, but like we leave at completely different times. We work different divisions of the company we work for. In fact, I work for a transportation company. In fact, we used to be, and I used to be the dispatcher for said division at one point. I used to handle the Harley Davidson delivery account. We used to deliver all the Harley Davidsons to all the dealers across the country.
Wow.
So
It's not Swift Trucking that he works for.
no.
Dude, I tell you what, when my wife and I were both sent home to work from home during COVID, the first 6 months she was like, I hated you. You're always around. I couldn't stand it. You bothered me so much during the day. And then like the second 6 months, I was getting real into the YouTube and everything. So it was like I was working during the day so that I could work on YouTube at night. And she's like, now I never hear from you and I miss you. And she started coming to bother me out here on the porch while I'm trying to smoke cigars, drink coffee, and get my work done so I can get back to the YouTube stuff in the evening. And which finally in year 2, we got to this equilibrium of we only bother each other a couple of times and you just give the other one a look. Yeah, go away. Go away now. I'm busy.
Oh, dude, we had a bout of COVID go through the house, and for some reason, I didn't test positive the first time, but I did the 3 times after. So me, my son, and my wife all worked at the same company, different divisions, but the same company. So we were all off for like 3.5, 4 weeks.
Oh man.
She literally told me, she's like, I don't care if you test positive. If you do, I'm burying you in the backyard. I can't stand another week in this house.
Dude, we had the same problem, except it was my littlest kid who got tested positive for COVID. And I use air quotes because the kid had like a 12-hour fever and then he was back to bouncing off the walls. So, but because of that, me, my wife, my eldest son, and the youngest son all had to stay in the house by ourselves for 10 days. And it was it was just a crap show. It was horrendous. Like I was just so happy to drop them off at daycare after 2 weeks. And don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but in small doses. That my kids are wired. You think, okay, anybody that's watched my videos knows I'm usually hopped up on caffeine or something. Not or something, it's caffeine. But you know I'm hopped up on my videos. Like boil that down to like a 5-year-old. And
dude,
now,
if you can bottle up children's energy and sell it,
I need 10% of my kids' energy. They go nonstop for like 18 hours a day. It's bananas.
How old are your kids?
6 and 4.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's a rough age to be me because I have to deal with their crap all the time. And my 6-year-old is very intelligent. At 2.5, he woke up at 2:30 in the morning and he wanted food. So he got a banana off the bunch. He got out his kid safe knife. He got out a bowl. He can't even climb up on the counter. Somehow he got up there to get a bowl. He got a cutting board out. He sliced the banana. He peeled the banana, sliced it, ate what he wanted, put the leftovers in a bowl, put them in the fridge, and was over watching TV when my wife came downstairs. Like, what? And the kid says like 7-syllable words on a regular basis and knows what they mean. So it's really hard because he's like, yeah, you always see the gears working in his head. And he's like, wait a minute, I'm putting 2 and 2 together and I'm getting purple. Something you're telling me doesn't line up, Dad. Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's fun.
No,
yes,
these kids drive me nuts.
I have the opposite problem because my oldest is 20, my youngest is 19, or about to be 19 in January. So the youngest is doing her first semester in college, which let me tell you, the pricing is ridiculous. The kind of money you spend in college is insane. Like, I still don't know how we're going to pay for it, but we're doing it. You know what I mean? But yeah, but yeah, having kids at that age and now they're at the age where they technically could start having kids. And I'm like, I don't want to, I'm not, I have gray hair, but I'm not ready to be grandpa yet. Right? I'm not.
Dude, when my eldest was born, one of my best friends and his wife came by and they brought their then 14-year-old son with them. And I'm holding my eldest in my arms, bouncing him, trying to get him to stop crying. And he's just wailing at the top of his lungs. And I turned to their kid and I looked him dead in the eyes and I said, next time you want to get freaky with a girl, remember this sound.
Mm-hmm.
It was Apparently, it was the best prevention method I could have ever imparted upon this young man. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm very blessed because my wife, when each kid was born, she started at 529, and she puts money into it every month, and my mom puts money into it every month, and her parents put money into it every month. I put money into my Harley, and we're all going to college together. When I say my wife is the breadwinner, it's not a joke. It's not a put on for the video. She makes more money than me. She pays 90% of the kids' stuff. She takes care of the food. I take care of the mortgage, and I take care of the utilities. But she covers everything else. I'm a very blessed man, and I will put up with a lot of her crap. And I do.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say it.
And she buys me liquor occasionally, too.
Oh, God bless you, man.
I'm kind of right in the middle of you guys. My son's like 12 now, going on 13 in the spring. So I'm kind of in the middle.
That can be a good age, and that can also, like, when they start the attitude thing, man, you're right on the cusp of the attitude.
I'm way ahead of you. I've got the attitude from both of my kids already. When you have a 4-year-old scream "no" at you like 48 times a day, it's grating on the nerves. But I'm already going to be prepared for when he's a teenager.
Well, it's a little bit easier. He's into cars and bikes and stuff, so it's not like he still comes to me and asks me a question. So we still have that, type of connection. So I'm hoping that stays. He already comes to me. He's like, I want this car as a project car. I want this one. I'm like, dude, you're like 12. But at least the gears are moving, and he wants to work for something. Because he already asked about a job. I'm like, well, you're 12, but do you want to go?
You can get a work permit.
Right, like go mow the lawn, you can make money doing stuff. Just you can't work at McDonald's yet,
Yeah. When I was growing up, I lived out in the country. We baled hay, we worked the farms, fed the cattle, did all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, dude, you're bringing me back to my childhood. My parents would drop me off in June and pick me up in August, and they'd visit me twice over the summer. Oh yeah, it was, and I did the baling of hay and the feeding of cattle and all that other crap. Grinding the corn down for meal for the cattle. My wife's like, "You're so lazy." I'm like, "I already paid my dues, lady. I put in the 5:30 to 5:30 days." Okay.
Oh, if you were lucky at 5:30, usually 5:30 meant you went to dinner and then worked for 2 more hours afterwards.
No, the farm was well established by the time I came along, so it was like, just leave that for your dad on the weekend. Oh yeah, it is bonkers, man. Growing up on a farm is a whole different existence. There's just like 1,000 things around you that their only purpose in life is to maim or kill you. And we didn't have the fancy tools. We had the turn of the last century's tools. Look, here's one quick example. Stringing barbed wire fence. People don't know what goes into that. So I'm going to explain it very quickly because there's 9 of us watching. You got a fence post. It's already planted in the ground, but you need barbed wire on it. So you stretch the barbed wire out with a barbed wire stretcher, which is a handle about, there it is, about 1.5 feet, 2 feet long, that has a big metal piece on the end of it like this, that is just worn smooth with age. But it'll cut you. Don't lie. That goes into the fence post. Attached to this wooden beam. Now you're trusting a wooden beam to hold this, and that wooden beam is smoother than a baby's bottom. And it's got an old rusted chain hook to it with a little fork on the end of it that grabs the barb on the barbed wire. So you cantilever the thing over the fence post and it pulls the barbed wire. And then with your other hand, because now you only got one hand on this bar, you got to take the nail out of your teeth, kind of try to stick it in the fence post, and then whack it with a hammer to knock it in to hold that barb in place. And then do that like 300 more times and you have a fence.
And hope that while you're doing that, it doesn't slip and cut half your arm off.
Oh, yeah. I can't tell you how many tetanus shots I got as a kid because the barbed wire would let loose or I'd fall into the barbed wire or the barbed wire would look at me funny and I'd get caught. It was ridiculous. Oh, it was absolutely ridiculous. I never want to go back to farming ever.
Yeah, but that for me, though, that was also how, I mean, I guess that's, if you want to say that's how my start in riding, because all my friends had dirt bikes and 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers and tractors, and like I knew how. It was so funny when I started driving. I'd technically have been driving since I was 12 or 13 years old. But by the time I actually went to go get my license and have to do all that, I remember we passed this parking spot and she's like, "Oh, well, just go around the block." I was like, "Well, can I back up?" It's like, "You can do that?" It's like, "Well, if I can't, I shouldn't be driving."
Yeah, right.
But when you're working out on a farm, you're on a tractor and you got a 30-foot trailer behind you of bales of hay, and you got to learn how to maneuver all that stuff, So
I jackknifed the trailer. My dad had to re-weld it. It was bad. Dude, you had a rich farm. We didn't have no 4-wheelers, 3-wheelers, 2-wheelers, none of that. We had some old-ass 1903 tractors. We had a tractor that was bigger than the barn it was in. My dad had to duck down like this to get it out of the parking spot. And then we had like a 2-row combine, and we had an old-ass thresher that did 1 row of hay at a time and made square bales, not even the big round bales you could pick up with a tractor. No, we had to lift every 50 or 75-pound bale of hay.
75 pounds.
You hoped for no rain the week before you did the hay baling, because that shit was heavy, man. And you had to throw them up onto the flatbed trailer. And when you're little, you're the guy stacking them. When you're bigger, you're the guy tossing them. And it was not fun. And now I'm a lazy asshole that just sits around and does nothing because I don't have to.
And sits on his bike and does moto vlog.
Damn right I do.
The interesting thing about farming that I've learned about over the years is the amount of equipment that you guys have and how much that equipment costs. I don't think people realize a lot of that bigger stuff costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it does one thing. Like it's literally specialized to do one thing.
The really large commercial combine can go $1 million.
Right.
When you take with all the accessories and the different pieces that go with it, and that's that whole. We're mostly lucky is, I'm sure we all have worked on our own cars before, and we've all worked on our bikes before. My bikes have never been into a shop. My cars I take in. They do the crap on it. I'm too lazy. But I'm also too cheap, so that's why the dealer doesn't touch my Harley. But I mean, the thing is, that equipment not only is so sophisticated these days because they have GPS and all that crazy crap, but companies lock them down so tightly, like you can't work on
the John Deere battle. Oh, absolutely. The right to work battle starts and ends with John Deere. They're not right to work, right to repair.
Right to repair.
Yeah.
There's people that hack John Deere farm equipment just so that you can fix stuff yourself, because even the smallest like nut and bolt has a chip in it, and you replace it, and now you got to get it flashed by a dealer. And
really, that's really weird.
And it's funny because the people that are into that side business of hacking John Deere tractors, you have to know somebody to get them to do it, because they don't advertise. They're not a shop, because that company will come after you and sue you to oblivion.
Oh, absolutely.
And thank God Harley and any of these other companies aren't doing that.
And by the way, I do give my Harley to the dealer or a trusted shop to work on it, because my life literally depends on that bike being safe, and I'm not smart enough to fix it myself. So I want to make sure everything safety related is taken care of. I'll do windshields and bolt-ons and stuff like that. But when it comes to tires and bearings and chains and belts,
tires goes to the shop. Yeah.
Let the shop handle it. I'll pay the stupid fee.
But at least you would do it yourself, though. It'd be your own fault.
Yeah, except even with the life insurance policy my wife took out on me, she prefers I make it home safely, so she has a part-time helper with the kids.
Oh yeah, the kids are young. Yeah.
When they're older, she'll probably be like, "Yeah, I cut your brake lines. Go for a ride. Have fun."
That was the agreement when I got the bike, was I had to get a life insurance policy. That was part of our agreement. It's funny because my wife never really at first was very interested. We did a couple of trips on the Harley or on the Sportster, but man, let me tell you, unless both of you are under 100 pounds, don't ever two up on a Sportster, ever. My balls were on the tank. Let me tell you, that just doesn't fit on a Sportster. But once I bought the Dyna, like this last year, I've only rode maybe twice without her. Like she goes with me everywhere now. So it's something we get to enjoy together. And, I know not every couple does that. And, some people don't like to ride. They don't like to be the passenger either.
That would be my wife.
If I have a small knock on Purple on 3 and she let my wife sit on her bike and now my wife wants one.
But that's awesome. That just means your fill-ups no longer cost $20. They cost $40 because you're both filling up.
Right. And it only cost me 3 times as much for the insurance. So.
I make my wife pay for her own gas. She can afford it.
So with this comment, this is the reason why I bought the tuner for the Ryker, because it also allows you to clear out maintenance lights and things like that. So you don't have to go to a dealer to have a simple code or something just cleared out. So it eventually pays for itself over time.
Yeah, and they don't. Unfortunately, most cars you can buy something AutoZone to read and clear most codes, but yeah, you don't have as much of that in the motorcycle market. So
right. And someone else said something. Post office, Harley's, but
I'll be right back. I need a refill.
Yeah, I've still got the 6 people watching. Not bad. I'll wait for him to come back.
John's the life of the party. He's always a hate for reason.
Yeah, no one wanted to ride with me when I bought the Spyder at first, so that's why I got the RS. And then eventually, like after the next year, like, oh, maybe I want to ride with you. I'm like, okay. I ended up buying a backrest, buying stuff to start making it.
That's what I did.
Comfortable.
Yeah, that's what I did to the Dyna. That's how it ended up with a trunk and all that stuff in the back, so that she had storage and had a backrest and all that stuff, and I was fine with that. That part didn't really bother me too much, but like I said, it was very interesting how much once she got to riding with me, how much that changed. I never doubted she might occasionally ride with me, but like I never expected she'd want to go like every weekend and willing to go on trips. And actually, it's funny. My bike, right when we got back from VAM, I literally pulled straight into the garage. It was almost sitting on empty. Like I didn't even stop for gas. We were so tired coming back because we kind of cannonballed coming back to Ohio.
Nice.
And well, when you're riding with Road Glide Andy and Mr. McStash, let me tell you, I love both those guys. Them and their wives are absolutely phenomenal people. But let me tell you, I do not ride their level. They're the 800 mile a day,
right?
Twisty curves at 800 miles. Like they're that kind of people. And we actually were supposed to have went on a trip with Mr. McStash and Blue Bike and Doyle. We were invited to their 10-day trip that they did.
Right.
And if it hadn't been for a major screw up with my daughter's college loan, it was supposed to cover a bunch of stuff, and then we found out it didn't. So we had spent money that we didn't actually kind of have to spend. So we didn't have the money to take the trip. That's what it ultimately happened to us. But honestly, me and my wife had a lot of discussions like, can we actually keep up with these guys? Because they can outride us, And I think whether you're riding with somebody new, it's kind of, you have to be cognizant of that. If you're a more experienced rider or somebody who can do that kind of thing, and with somebody who's not, you got to be kind of conscious of that. I think it's important.
Yeah, especially with the very long trips and road trips and stuff like that, and just variation in bikes, mileage, things like that. It's just like you're always going to be stopping for whoever has the smallest tank, basically. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you can go 300 miles, but the guy next to you can only go 150. Then you're stopping at 150.
That's why I only ride with other Harley riders. I'm kidding.
I know who does that too is Ben, Bike Beard and Brews. He cannonballs everywhere. He was gonna do VAM in one day. I'm like, dude, like, I get that you do that, but that's a hike, and those roads are no joke.
I don't know if any of you guys happen to know who Long Haul Paul, and he's not a porn star. He's a rider. He rides mostly Yamaha. In fact, he's sponsored by Yamaha, but he rides for MS. And I've seen this guy literally do 1,000 miles and not blink twice. I mean, just this dude can literally, and I'm talking, he lives in Connecticut, and he will come out in the middle of winter when there's snow on the ground and just go. It, like, I could never do that.
Yeah, that's
I'm hoping I'm doing a new seat for the winter into the spring on the Ryker, but it has a backrest and everything like that. So I'm hoping that kind of changes things a little bit. I'm already super comfortable on it with all these rides. I'm hoping that changes it a little bit. So maybe I'll be able to put in some more mileage for that.
How adjustable is on the Ryker is the pedal set? Because that was the only thing my wife, she sat on. She liked it, but she wasn't.
Yeah, there's five different spots that you can move those pedals forward and back, and the handlebars move too. So you can adjust both of those. Yeah. So that's what helped me, being able to put. I got the pedals all the way out, and you can adjust the brake pedal too.
Right.
So you got the pegs and the brake pedals adjustable for your foot, or if you have like boots or something like that. So I got them all the way out. It's perfect on my knees, takes the pressure off my lower back, and then I got the handlebars kind of where it's comfortable for me. So. Did
you buy yours like straight off the showroom floor, or did you have to like wait?
It was there. That's why I went to that dealer, because they had one already built, ready to go, and it had like 2 miles on it. So I'm like,
see, my dealer usually has a couple in stock, but they're usually missing panels.
That's what's happening. Yeah.
So
what are they shipping them out without the panels?
Yes, they are. They're shipping incomplete bikes.
Good God.
And that's something. And again, if I was an ambassador, I'd be like, wait for a complete bike, then ship it, because it's just going to sit there no matter where it is, because you don't have all the pieces.
I guess the only bonus to that is because the panels we're mostly talking about are the customizable panels. So they're the ones if you want red, blue, yellow, whatever. It's those panels that they're not shipping with, because normally they're black, I think. But yeah, I found it really weird that the bikes were shipping.
Yeah, they're
not having all the pieces on it.
I guess they're figuring people will buy the bike and wait for the parts to come in, so they get the sale in the meantime.
Which is starting to happen, yeah, because people just done waiting. There are people who still have not received a 2022 bike, and they're already taking pre-orders on 2023. So it's like you still got incomplete 2022s here sitting on some lots.
Yeah, it's unfortunately for those looking for a good deal, looking for those incentives, you're just at this point you're either in the market and you're going to buy it or you're not. I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Right.
I don't know. We had looked at a Ryker, because they're what, about $8,000-9,000 or something, I think, new if you get a bare bones model.
Yeah, I would definitely suggest a 900. I know there's a 600 model, but like I think the extra power and highway mileage and stuff like that, you definitely want to spend a little bit extra money on a 900.
Daddy always said, buy the bigger engine. It comes with the bigger brakes. It comes with the bigger suspension. That's why he drove Lincoln Continental Mark 4s and 5s.
Oh.
He was an outside salesman for like 48 different companies in his career, and he always drove the big body 2-doors coupe, and it was like the biggest V8 that they made and the biggest brakes and all that stuff.
Did he have one like in the late 90s and the early 2000s? Did he have them in that late of an era?
He did not have a Mark 8. He died before he could buy a Mark 8, but he had a Mark 4 and then a Mark 5. I think he had a Mark 7, and then he got Mercury Cougars because he wanted, and he bought them with the V6, which was surprising to me because that was the smaller engine.
Yeah,
but they were the same platform as a Mustang but modified, and they had an independent rear suspension, so they handled okay. They drove on the highway great. They got excellent fuel economy, and they were roomy for the driver and passenger. And us kids in the back just had to grin and bear it. You haven't lived till you rode from D.C. to Key West in the back of a 92 Mercury Cougar at the age of 11 or 12 or whatever I was, Yeah, that was painful. The next year, my dad bought a 1980 Cadillac limousine.
Wow.
He had a limousine. It was 21 and a half feet long, and you had to open the garage door to go walk around the back of it. And it was ridiculous. It had jump seats, so it didn't have like the full front and back and all that stuff, but it had a sliding glass divider, so my parents could just be like, nope, we don't want to hear the kids anymore. And
no,
dude, 24 hours straight from DC to Key West.
Isn't there a certain length though you gotta be specially licensed for?
I don't know about that. I know there's a weight.
I think it's weight. Yeah.
I mean, there's a CDL over 26K, but
right.
short of that, I don't think.
And that excludes school buses, I think.
Yeah, well, school buses is commercial passengers, so that falls under the CDL. I think it's a Class B or something.
B class. They call it B class, but it's not actually a B. Like on your license, it's not B class, but being in transportation, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a B. And it's so weird because it used to be a B class because buses had air brakes. So you had to have air brakes as well as have the passenger endorsement. It was kind of a weird combo. But yeah, it definitely
that whole big thing is just really weird. There's all sorts of different certifications and this and that. It's like the guys can drive tandem, but they don't have like the air brake certification, and you need this and that, and then you need the Black Cat certification.
Well, air brakes used to, and I say used to require, like if a box truck, like even one you would get from like a Ryder or something that you would use to move your house with. The old ones were never ever had air brakes because air brakes automatically made it B class. That used to be the required standard. Now it's based on what rate classing you make the licensing on it. So as long as you keep it under the 26, I think it's 26.5 gross, you can keep it with the average license that any licensed driver can ride. If it's over 26,000 gross, then you require a B class. Doesn't matter if it's got air brakes or not. That was something weird that happened about 10 years ago. They changed the rules where air brakes no longer required a special license.
Well, I think one of the reasons was the 1-ton Ford, Chevy, and Ram pickups started having tow ratings high enough to push their combined, was it GCWR to
gross vehicle weight rating?
Right, but it was gross combined weight rating. So the GCWR was over 26K. So all the journalists that went to review these trucks, they had to do it on private proving grounds or prove that they had a CDL before they could go on the open road. Yeah, because they couldn't. Otherwise, they could drive the truck, but they couldn't test the towing on it, and that was always a big thing. But I can tell you that in 1996, 7, 8, whatever it was, when I got my driver's license, 3 months later, bye Purple on 3, take care.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
3 months later, we go to leave on the spring break trip with the whole family, and my dad gets in the driver's seat of the Cadillac limo, and I go to get in the back, and he goes, "Not so fast, boy. Passenger seat. When I get us out of Northern Virginia, you're driving." And the two of us tag teamed it for the next 24 hours to drive the whole family down south. I was like, "Are you really sure this is a good idea? Because I've had my license for 3 months, and I've already been in an accident." He's like, "You'll be fine." And to be clear, my accident was on day one of the license, and my mom was like, "Drive me to the grocery store." And we pull up, and there was a Ford Expedition in front of the place, and I brought the car up so I could pick up her and the groceries, and she's doing this, so I keep coming, and I tap the hitch on the Expedition with the front of her Mustang, and she goes, "No, I was doing this," and I was like, "Mom, you were clearly doing this. What the hell is wrong with you?" Luckily, the guy didn't file anything, but it was a huge pain in the tuchus.
Yeah, I was 18 or 19, and I remember we went up. My younger brother, he had just finished his Navy training out of Chicago, and it was pretty funny because my parents hardly ever traveled much as I was growing up, and we got over into Illinois, and my stepdad's like, I can't handle these people. They're scaring the shit out of him. And he's like, "Why don't you drive? You seem to handle this crap better than me." So I got in there. I was in a 95 Pontiac Sunfire. Okay. Doing 85 miles an hour. And I was still getting blown by trucks heading towards Chicago.
Dude, you were ringing out that 2.2 liter.
Absolutely. My mom's like, "I've never run it that fast."
Dude, I had the 87 Mustang, and I wrapped the speedometer around. Because in the 80s, they figured we'll just put the low speedometers on there, and then people will slow down. But I hit the 0 pin going the other way, and it was absolutely bonkers. Those cars
I think the 0 pin was 123 miles an hour or something like that. I think I remember somebody testing it, and it was just shy of 125 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm probably lying, but I went well past the 85. I was embellishing for Ryan's benefit.
It's so funny. The car that I got, my one and only speeding ticket, I had a 95 Mustang convertible, V6 with the automatic. It's the slowest car I ever have owned.
Do you see the hand? The Mustang I'm talking about was an 87 LX with the leather package, convertible top, automatic, and it was the 2.3 liter, 88 horsepower Ford's version of the Iron Duke. So
not the SVO, not even the good one.
No, it was not the SVO. I wish, but it was the slowest, heaviest Mustang they ever made.
Yeah,
please continue.
That's the car I got pulled over. The cop, which I found out she was not very man friendly. Let's put it that way. And she was a bit of a dick to me. And she said I was doing 72 and a 55. Now I was doing 62 and a 55. I will admit that. But it was funny. When I had that Mustang, I had grandmas and grandpas and Buicks and Cadillacs riding my butt, passing me on like I was sitting still. I'd be doing the speed limit, passing me like I'm sitting still, giving me dirty looks like, why am I driving the speed limit? I sold that car because it honestly, that car cost me $3,000 a year for a $7,000 car to insure.
Yeah.
And I didn't find out till after I signed the paperwork because my insurance misquoted me.
Oh.
They quoted me for a hard top, not a convertible.
Oh.
So I sold it. I owned it for a year, sold it. I bought a 88 Mazda RX-7 non-turbo. Obviously revs to the moon. Like I had my first big credit card. I maxed it out, literally parts from California. Like I was ordering crap left and right.
Yeah, the fantastic Dorito.
Oh,
yeah.
I had shocks. I had brakes. I had this big honking, Fast and Furious. This was right after Fast and Furious came out. Had this big honking muffler. This thing, you see in the movie where it shot flames. My car actually did shoot flames. It would backfire and shoot flames. Don't get me wrong. It was not the fastest car in the world, but it would ride pretty much side by side in a quarter mile with a mid 80s to late 80s Mustang 5.0 stock. Not that there were a whole lot of those around. But let me tell you, nobody messed with me in that car. Like people never got on me, never rode my butt. I never had that problem that I had with grandma and grandpa's going down the road. And I never really sped in a whole lot. But
oh, there he goes. We lost him.
I never, like I said, never got a speeding ticket in that car, and I sped in that car from time to time. But the funniest incident I ever had, I was coming home. There he is. I was coming home, and there's this place out where I used to live, and it was really, really kind of almost straight. Like it was very flat, it was very light curve. And I'm cruising 55 miles an hour, just no big deal. I see in my rear view mirror this dude in this 95 Dodge Neon hauling balls. And I'm looking in my mirror and I'm like, this dude's going to pass me. And I got my hand on the shifter. I knew what was about to go down. And sure enough, he come up, he creeped up on me, went left lane. I went from 5th to 3rd, hammered it down, took it all the way to 9,000 RPM red line. 4th gear, took it all the way to red line. Hit 5th gear. I'm looking down at the speedo. I'm doing 130. I left the dude setting. He went back into the lane, never even attempted to pass me after that.
Nice.
And I've told that story many, many times. But the funny thing is years after the fact, my brother, I'm reiterating this story. My brother goes, yeah. He said, your car would do 130 miles an hour. He's like, I took the keys one day. He's like, I can tell you it will do it. It would do it. And I was so mad. I was so pissed off. Not only because it was my brother, and he knew that car was my baby, but yeah, that, like I said, it took, don't get me wrong, it was a good mile stretch to get to that speed, but
dude,
that was a fun car.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to surprise you guys, but I already lost my license before I was 18.
Oh,
probably no surprise at all. But
no, none whatsoever. You know what? In college, my nickname was Crash because that poor Mustang didn't have a sharp corner on it anywhere, and
or had many sharp corners depending on where you hit it.
No, it was an octagon. I got the keys taken away. I was in college. See you later, Frank.
I'm good.
I was living at home, and my dad got so pissed because he was still paying my insurance. He was like, dude, you backed into a guardrail leaving church youth group. You're allowed to go to school, church youth group, and home, and that's it for a month. I was like, man, I'm like 19. You can't tell me what. Oh yeah, you got the keys, right? Gotcha. Yeah, SI Ryker. If you don't have a license, you can't lose it. Right. Modern problems require modern solutions.
Like half my bike friends, they're all riding dirty.
It's funny you mentioned insurance. I had an 01 Mustang hardtop V6 automatic, and I paid $500 a month for my car payment, and I paid $600 a month for my insurance. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, after that, insurance killed me after that because I had to get my license back and all that. They're like, yeah, we're gonna jack up the price.
Dude, there was a guy in my MSF course who was used to like leader bikes, and the instructors counseled him. They were like, you need to slow down. You're scaring some of the other students. He wasn't scaring me because I didn't really know what the hell I was doing anyway. And I didn't realize he was a really good rider. I just knew he could weave the cones really good. But they were like, dude, slow down. You're scaring some of the other people trying to learn how to ride. It's their first time on a bike. So I'm talking to the guy during a break, and I'm like, I heard what they said to you. What's going on? And he's like, yeah, I'm only here because the state of Maryland requires me to take the MSF course and pay the $1,000 in back fees to get my license and get my bike back out of impound. I was like, oh, right. That makes sense. I mean, I'm the guy in the class that when they ask everybody when you start, they're like, anybody have motorcycle experience? And I'm like, yeah, I got my learner's permit. And they're like, oh, have you ridden on your learner's permit? I was like, well, no, I had it in my pocket, but I was on my bike and I did like 160 miles with riding around with buddies. Because in the state of Maryland, you can ride around on a learner's permit with a licensed rider, 21 or older, within 100 feet of you, yada, yada, yada.
Really?
So it's funny because my wife followed me home from the mechanic shop where they got my bike running when it was given to me because it had sat for 5 years, needed a tank, tires, battery, the whole 9 yards. So she actually followed me because she'd had her license for years, and we were dating at the time. It was good fun. I made her stop at the cigar shop and have a cigar with me to celebrate the new bike. But anyway, so they're like, yeah, you got experience. Great. And then they're going through like all the paper test version of stuff. And they're like, so this is the clutch and this is the friction zone. And I'm like, hold on, I got a question. And they were like, oh, geez. S.I. Ryker called in his wife. She's like, I'm not going to insure you. You're not getting a bike. So they're like, wait. I'm like, hey, yeah, I have a question. What's the friction zone? What is that? And they're like, didn't you say you had experience? I was like, yeah, and I drove stick shift cars. So I still don't understand what a friction zone is. And they're like, how the frick stupid are you? And I'm like, pretty stupid. And they're like, all right. So we just have a burning question here. The friction zone is where the clutch is partially engaged. I was like, yeah, you avoid that in a car. And they're like, Bikes have a wet clutch. You can ride in the friction zone with very minimal damage to your clutch. I was like, yeah, interesting. I like that. And they're like, but wait, we have this burning question. How did you take off from a stop on your bike when you're riding around? And I was like, I don't know. Just gave it some revs, dumped the clutch, and off we go. And they were like, oh, we got one of those. I was like, yep, I'm that guy. So all through the class, there was this one girl bumping the back of my demo. I call it a demo bike, but it was the the learner bike, and the fenders were all open, right? So she's bumping the back of mine. I beat the horn at her. She'd go, horn blows. It's the driver. I said, only the driver behind me. Oh yeah, it was good fun. We were bonking the bikes and bopping the horns and doing all that stuff. And then I went 6 inches out of the box and too slow through the corner, but they still passed me. And now I'm a very successful moto vlogger, almost as successful as Ryan from Blackphoenix Entertainment.
You know, it's funny, in Ohio, all you have to do to get your learner's permit is to do the riding portion. The only thing you can't do is you can't ride at night. You can't ride out of state. And technically you're not supposed to ride on certain major highways, but they don't enforce that too much. But other than that, you're not well, you have to wear a helmet. That's the other thing. You got to wear a helmet. Other than that, that's
helmets
all
are for pussies.
That's pretty much how Massachusetts is. You go take the written test, get your permit, you can go ride. Like, they don't really care.
Oh my God.
There are some people who don't even get their licenses. They just keep renewing the permit because it's.
I did that for 4 years.
Cheaper. Yeah. And then, like I said, there's some people who just don't even bother registering or getting a license or anything, and they just ride dirty the whole time and don't stop.
The part that amazes me is, like, how many people who do that. And the thing is you have a bike in your name. Like, at some point you would think the DMV would go, something ain't right here.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know how they get away with it, but
because you can disconnect the ownership of a motorcycle and its registration from the person riding it.
But I get things in the mail that says I have to verify my insurance on a certain vehicle.
Yeah, I bought a bike. I insured the bike. I registered the bike. I don't ride the bike. That's that, dude. In the state of Maryland, people. I don't know how often, but it's a known thing that people buy a brand new bike. The dealer puts it on the back of a truck or in a trailer, drops it off in your driveway, and says, bye. And then that person doesn't have to have a license. They need a driver's license, a Class C, to be able to drive a car. They need proof of insurance for the bike, and they need a way to pay for it. And that's it. And if you're buying one of the big 4 Japanese brands, you can't even test drive the damn thing anyway. So you're just buying it sight unseen. And if you don't have a license, you're not riding home on it. But if they offer it, you're having it delivered to your house. In the state of Maryland, our learner's permit is a 50-question written or computer-based test. And I failed it
30.
Twice. Yeah, twice. I failed it twice. I passed it on the 3rd try, drove home in my 01 Mustang, almost got creamed by a minivan, and said, well, this is a nice conversation piece. And I put all that shit on hold because I realized I wasn't mentally prepared to ride a motorcycle because I couldn't dodge minivans in a car. So I was like, yep, that was a close call I don't want to have on 2 wheels. And it was like 7 years later, somebody in the cigar shop's like, yeah, I got this Vulcan 800 been sitting there and the condo association wants to tow it because it's been parked for 5 years illegally. Anybody want it? I do. And I borrowed a ramp from a friend, a truck from another friend, and labor from a 3rd friend. And we all showed up on a Saturday morning to pick up this non-running bike. And I put it in front of my mom's garage because I didn't have anywhere else to put it. And I threw a tarp over it till March when I could get it into a shop. So I borrowed the same ramp, the same friend, and the same truck and the truck owner because he wasn't letting me drive his truck. And we drove to my mom's house, picked it up, dropped it off at the mechanic. He called me a week later. He's like, so I got your bike in here. It's on the lift. Here's a picture. And it was all taken apart. Like the fenders were on it, but like everything else was gone. No tank or anything. He's like, here's a picture of the inside of your tank. And it was as brown as like Copper Canyon or whatever. And it was like, yeah, you're not using this tank, dude. You got to order one. And I called him and I was like, yeah. So I saw the last note there was come pick your bike up. And I was like, I'm in Pittsburgh with my girlfriend and I can't pick it up. And he's like, well, I can't store it. I was like, could you store it if you had parts on order? He goes, yeah, but it's going to cost you an extra $200 for the tank. Done deal. Order me a tank, boss. And it was like 2 weeks later, I was back in town, and it was like 48 degrees, and I'm riding it home like, I'm on a motorcycle. Look at me. Whee! Yeah, I had to actually go get the temp tags and bring it to him. He's like, I can't test ride it until I have tags on it. Go get me some tags for this damn thing. Yeah, that was fun. Wow, Luis Garcia, out of 15 people, 10 had a motorcycle and no license.
Yeah, I threw that up
crazy. Earlier. That's crazy. We had 12 people, and like 6 finished the class, and like 3 of us passed the test. 3 got counseled out. 1 went in an ambulance to the hospital.
There's always one. Yeah, there's always at least one that just crashes somewhere. And then even a couple people dropped out of my Can Am class that I took. There was an older guy that came in. We didn't know how old he was. Apparently he was in his 80s, and he just wanted to try one out, and then he ended up just kind of walking away and said, nah, this isn't for me.
You know, I don't know what it costs for you guys, but like our rider course in Ohio was only $50. Like if you're even remotely thinking you might be interested in riding, taking one of those state sponsored courses are usually pretty cheap. It's at least a way to kind of figure out, can I do this or not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did it at a time where Can Am was sponsoring the classes, so they were super cheap. They were like $50 or $75 or whatever. So. And they were giving these people the bikes to do it with. You would show up there, and they would have the giant Can Am trailer with all the bikes and everything on them. So
I went through the Harley dealer. It was like $350.
That's because you have a Harley tax.
Well, yeah.
Well, because you didn't buy the bike at the Harley dealer, they would have given it to you for free if you had been.
You know what? That would have been a good idea, but I already had a bike, and I already dropped like $2,200 to get it roadworthy. So it was like not worth buying a Harley at that point. But it was funny because we had like this little old lady that was in the class, and she couldn't duck walk the 500cc Buell across the parking lot. So they counseled her out of the class.
Right.
And then the guy that wrecked and went to the hospital, he dislocated his shoulder. He was going straight, had to make a left, and he got panicked. And instead of grabbing the clutch and just letting it rev, he went straight into a curb and dumped it and fell over and hurt himself.
Yeah.
Which was it was bad. Part of his problem, though, was that he was like 6'6", 350 pounds on a 500cc Buell. Right. So it was a Magilla Gorilla situation. And it was the middle of April. So like one day we wore summer gloves. The next day we wore rain gear. And the third day we wore winter gloves because it's Maryland. And it was on the third day, he was wearing these winter gloves, and his mitts were so big. He just
couldn't,
that when he went to grab the brake, it rolled on the throttle because his thumb caught, and and instead of grabbing the clutch, he panicked and dumped the bike. And meanwhile, I'm over there bumping bikes with the girl behind me. She's married, has 4 kids, by the way. I don't know if she rides, but that was a good class. That was 3 days, and here's how lazy I am, right? Everybody says, oh, John works hard, right? No, John's lazy. I borrowed my friend's condo because he'd moved in with his girlfriend in their townhouse. I borrowed the keys to his condo for 3 days, so I didn't have to commute the extra 40 minutes. It was like 10 minutes down the road from the dealer.
Yeah, I think we only had 2 out of our class. We had like 15 or 20. That didn't quite make it. And there was one, she was a little bit older woman. And really, I think physically, her real problem was physically, she just wasn't very stable. She couldn't hardly hold a 250 bike up. But I'll be honest, because the thing was that, and I paid for me and my stepdad just to do it so we could go ahead and get our license because we wanted to go out of state. That was the thing. We'd ridden all around Ohio, but we wanted to go out of state. That was kind of got tired of having that restriction. And that was kind of because just like you said, we were just renewing our temps every year, and it was no big deal. And in fact, I'd only technically ever renew it every year and a half because I can't ride 4 or 5 months out of the year here where we're at.
Hey,
and
we got a new people by the end of the stream. Hey, what's going on?
It's not the end of the stream, it's just the middle. Go to bed, Ryan. Just leave it running. We'll be good.
Leave it run. Oh yeah, I totally trust you when I leave this thing running.
That has happened before, where guys in live streams, the host will start and they'll just keep going until the stream just suddenly stops.
Yeah, we'll let it hit the 3-hour mark. We'll go 6 more minutes.
I could go longer than that. Just saying.
That's not what she said.
Hey, if you're in that position, leave some pocket change behind, bud. Mama's got to pay her rent.
Oh, but I'll be honest.
In high school, in high school, everybody made the "yo mama" jokes, and my response was always, "Yeah, but did you leave the ducats on the bedroom table there? Huh? Come on, pony up, big boy." And boy, that would shut them the hell up. They had no idea what to do.
Oh, yeah. What made you decide to go 3 wheels instead of 2? Did you ever try doing 2 wheels or?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just messed up my shoulder and my back, and had 2 accidents on it, and then the wrestling and progressive injuries and stuff. So I'm just like, and then once I saw the Spyders, because I saw them, a bunch of guys pull into like an ice cream shop with them. Like, what are those things? It's like one of those deals. So
it's so funny. At least in my area, you see it's like that. You have that group of Harleys, then you got the group of Can Am guys, and then you got a group of Spyder guys. Like, and it's so funny to watch them all. They like packs. They come in.
Yeah, so yeah, I saw those, so I did some more research on them. I took the class. I didn't even want to bother, because all my stuff had run out. I had no license, no permit, whatever. So I'm like, hey, let me just take the class. It's cheap enough. Took it. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then I went back and got all my license and stuff like that. Then went out and bought one. But
that's funny. I thought you got into it because you had back problems and couldn't ride on 2 wheels.
Yeah, because of the accidents and the wrestling and stuff. So I've tried since then.
So you never got on 2 wheels?
I did, yeah.
But it was too painful?
Well, I crashed. I dumped a bike, so.
Okay, that'll do it. Pardon my ignorance. I'm just more curious than anything else.
Yeah, no, like, even a 250 bike, like, I can ride it, I can hold it up and do that, but consistently all the time, I don't trust myself, like, and my back at any point, so. Like my L5 disc is like nothing, so it's right where the sciatic nerve and all that stuff is, and then like I said, with the injuries with the shoulder and the knees from wrestling, it's like it's just so much more comfortable to be on 3. I'm still out, still riding. It's just I don't have to worry about all the stuff that goes along with it.
That's one of my fears, because it seems like every few months I have a new pain that shows up, and like a couple weeks ago, it was last Sunday. My sciatic was acting up, and it was like it woke me up at 7 a.m. I literally couldn't sleep any longer. I'd been asleep for 5 hours, and I was fairly inebriated when I fell asleep. And I was like, yeah, I like using big words. It's good fun. But I woke up, and I was on Walton PA's Discord. I was talking with like Trekimoto and a couple others that were up early on. Like it was like 9 at that point, right? I finally managed to get up out of bed, and I was in this the lower half of my back was just on fire. And I was like, oh God. And they were like, and they'd gone on a group ride the day before, and like Trekimoto's like, I'm totally knackered, in his British accent. I can't do it late at night. And I was like, yeah, I got some pretty severe back pain, but I figure in an hour I'll be good to go. He's like, dude, I want to ride with you. Your optimism is infectious. And I was like, yeah, it's not optimism. It's both kids are at grandma's, and I got a chance to ride. So I'm going to go ride, even if it's going to rain. And it did end up raining on me for a few minutes. But an hour later, I was like, all right, I'm good to go, because my office chair here is very comfortable. But I got on the Harley, and I just rode, and I'm like, dude, my right shoulder, I tore the rotator cuff a little bit like 25 years ago at the gym. And driving a stick shift with a torn rotator cuff is not fun. I did it for 6 weeks like this. Shift forward, shift back, shift forward. It was bad. And then it healed. I didn't have health insurance, so it was like, I'm not getting it fixed, And now it's just kind of one of those, if I lift something too heavy, it hurts for like a week and a half. But between my knees are so bad, I have a handicap placard on my Harley. Or a handicap, not a placard, a plate. I have a placard in my truck. I went to my doctor after getting an MRI done on my one knee, and I was like, hey, doc, how bad does it have to get before I get a handicap placard? And he literally broke out in a belly laugh, pulled open a desk drawer, pulled out paperwork, started filling it out, handed it to me, and says, take this to the MVA. You're good for 6 months. Get your knee fixed. And I didn't. And I went back in 6 months. I was like, hey, you didn't get the knee fixed. Want to re-up that son of a bitch? He's like, sure. And then, like, the next time I went in, he's like, nope, he reached in a different drawer. He's like, yeah, you're obviously stubborn. So here's a blue one. And I got a permanent placard.
There you go.
And yeah, then I took that. And by the way, every time I got a new placard from him, I was on the freaking, I was on the Vulcan 800. So I was riding my motorcycle to the MVA, and I got a plate. And I had an argument with the MVA, the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration, whatever. I show up and I'm like, yeah, I want 2 hang tags and one plate for my Harley. And they're like, well, no, you can't do that. It says here, 2 things. And I'm like, no, it's 2 car plates or 2 placards or a combination of them, and then up to 3 motorcycle plates. Get me a manager. I folded my hair over like this, and I was like, I want to talk to a manager.
You went all Karen on him.
I totally did, dude. Hey, look, I can win at charades. Travis got it. So the manager, it's been a half an hour of back and forth. The manager comes over and goes, what seems to be the problem? And I was like, here's English language. Read. Understand. Reading comprehension. He's like, yeah, I know that form. Give the man his 2 hang tags and give him a plate for his Harley. Let's go. Next up. So, yeah. When you pull up to Home Depot to buy 2 20-pound bags of lime, because that's what fits in each saddlebag and falls under the weight limit, you get some weird looks from the 85-year-old in the Prius next to you. And I just go, look at the back of my bike, bitch, because this shit's legal. I can park in a handicap spot. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah, good times. Good times. I love my handicap placard.
I have one, but it's technically not mine. We have somebody that lives in the house who gets the handicap placard. So, and we joke, is like, we're only in it for the parking. And
that's the only reason I still drive a full-size truck. I get
it's the only way you can, because it's the only way you can park, because it's double wide.
Well, no, actually, I'm such a pain in the ass and perfectionist about things that I can't stand door dings. So when I bought my 2019 Ram 1500, I got the limited model with the power running boards and the air suspension. So when I park in a spot that's surrounded by cars, I get claustrophobic. And I'm like, I only need to open it up so far to where I can get out without wrenching my knee and being in severe pain the rest of the day. But I'm going to raise this bitch all the way to the top and then deploy the running boards, and cars will ding those instead of my paint job. You know, Travis, you laugh, but I shit you not. People at work were like, are your running boards broken? Because they're always out when you're parked. And I'm like, no, that's countermeasures for door ding. Motherfuckers can't be door dinging me if they can't hit the paint, motherfucker. And yeah, it's like midnight, so I'm cursing now.
Yeah, it's getting up there.
It's 3:02, baby. We're 5:0 in the house.
But I got to ask you about your wrestling. So you said it was kind of that Attitude Era. You was
yeah. So we started like the mid to late 90s, basically. And I went independent in about, I'd say 2001. So right about, it's kind of weird because right when we started getting into the independent is when Vince bought WCW and ECW went down. So then I was like, there's nowhere to go. You know?
Dude, I like I said, I used to watch religiously all the pay-per-views every week, and I love the storyline, man. It was great characters and great actors, and I think when you talk about moto content, it's kind of the same way. When you have that right combination,
that's why Smitty is so big. Big Smitty riding. Roll that intro.
But when you have that combination, it's magical, and I think that's why somebody told me that since Vince has retired and things are starting to change in as far as their story arcs and their writing and all that stuff, and I grew up kind of on the end of the Hulkster and all that that era into what became the Attitude Era, and man, that was great time. If for a wrestling fan for me. It was, I don't think there's ever been a greater time of, oh, well, you've made it. You've officially made it. You got a bot.
I'm so getting laid tonight.
You're married. I know better. But yeah, like I said, it's so yeah, it'd been a cool time to have been in that industry. That would have been.
Yeah, I got a bunch of stories coming out on that, like basically finishing the backyard story of how we get into the independents and the underground stuff. So,
by the way, I'm one of those people that loves those stories, Ryan.
Yeah, like the underground stuff is interesting. So I don't think people see that. I don't, especially back then. Like one backyard was huge. Like people don't understand, if you didn't grow up in that era, that's how you got into wrestling. There was no real schools. There was no, no MTV. There was no nothing that you could go and like, okay, how do I wrestle? But then there was a whole underground movement, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. That like would go rent warehouses,
bars and warehouses.
Yeah, warehouses. You get a ring, you get a warehouse, you get a bunch of guys. People would come in, just watch it. Maybe it was 20 people, but you're getting filmed. There's people watching you. They paid for it. It's like, all right, this is cool.
Hey, Harley Diners Rides asks, do you remember the British Bulldogs? Yes. I do.
Yes, I do.
My buddy had one of those illegal black boxes, and we watched all the pay-per-views. We watched the Bulldogs.
Is that the same one you watched the naughty channels on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When him and his girlfriend were over in the other room, doing adult stuff, I was by myself watching the adult stuff. Not their adult stuff, different adult stuff. Dude, I got so drunk one night, I had one of those pint bottles of rum and a 2-liter bottle or 1-liter bottle of Coke. And I was up at 2:00 in the morning talking to his oscillating fan. And I referred to him as Mr. Oscillating Fan because I knew it was a he. And we went fishing 4 hours later, and it was ridiculous. We had a charter boat. We went out trolling. We caught our limit. And I was like, yep, I'm going to go lay in the belly of the boat and go to sleep because it has the least amount of movement. And I was like, fuck, I passed out for like 3 hours, man. I woke up, we were back at the dock, and my fish was clean. Oh, yeah. I got so many stories I could tell from back then, but they're not age appropriate for anyone. But I love your wrestling stories because, look, I'm a huge fan. I watch Dewey Rides because I love the scenery, and I watch some other channels because I love the scenery. And Dewey's a friend of mine too. You all know Dewey Rides, right?
Yep.
So he's got a great way of showing the scenery. But really, what drives my want to watch a YouTube video is the personality of the person presenting it. Because if they come across as like a real person, and they're telling something they're passionate about, that it really just gets my engine running. Like, I want to watch more of this person. I don't care if they're riding to the corner store or Grand Canyon. I want that personality. That's what draws the viewer in, and I'm the viewer.
Right, and I found a ton of video clips and everything. My buddy Paul helped me out. That's
awesome.
The next couple of videos that come out are going to have a shitload of clips and some full matches in it that I kind of dub over. And
that's so cool. Oh, I can't wait to see those.
Yeah, I'll be watching for those. I'll definitely make sure to.
And I have some stuff from the independents. I have my I know the last one I put out, I put the match I had on TV with Chris Sabin, but I have some other stuff that I did locally. So, but that stuff's hard because like you travel there. Like I remember me and my buddy John, we went all the way out to Erie, Pennsylvania for a match with Jerry Lynn, then drove all the way back to New Bedford for a match the next morning. That's 10 hours. So we were awake for maybe 36 hours. We wrestled 3 shows that weekend.
That's bonkers.
I would never be able to do that now. I don't know how that's crazy.
Because you were young, dude.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I got in the Honda Civic and I drove from DC to Myrtle Beach. I left at 8:00 on a Friday night. I got there at 4:30 Saturday morning. And I was smoking cigars the whole time. I had this girl I was dating, and it was her friend we were going to visit. So she was riding shotgun and I was driving because she didn't drive stick. And at midnight, I was like, okay, I've had 7 cigars today. I need to just stop. So I closed the sunroof, I closed the windows, and I was driving for like 10 minutes. I started drifting. I was like, honey, wake up. I need another stogie. So she cut and lit me another cigar, passed it over, and I cracked the sunroof and the windows, and I smoked again straight until 4:30. I spent 10 hours smoking cigars. It was freaking awesome. Went to bed, woke up at noon, partied hard all weekend. That's just what you do when you're in your 20s, man.
Yeah. I remember we slept at a rest stop. We ended up stopping at my parents' house to shower because he mentioned like, hey, we've already wrestled 2 shows. Should we probably shower? And I'm like, that's a good idea. My parents live, here. We can stop by. I can say hi and then, be on our way. Be like, sorry, Mom, got another show.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, all of those, that'll come out in a whole story because that whole weekend was insane. That's just like a short, what do they call it? Cliff Notes version. But there's so much more
to it.
There's so much more to that whole weekend that was crazy.
And there's a lot of guys that talk about that, running from show to show or running, this kind of circle
The loop
area.
Yeah.
And talking about how they got in the business or how they got started, and just like you said, it's backyards, it's people's barns, it's bars, and like I said, it moved up to warehouse and got bigger and bigger and bigger. But also just like you talk about the abuse some of these guys took on some of these matches. I mean, I can't imagine.
You're gonna see the clips. I've got so many. I look at it like so many headshots, and we didn't think of it back then. We're like, oh, whatever. My buddy Justin we had a PlayStation 1 that was broken, so we use it as a weapon. Kid gets cracked in the head with it. I'm like, that would never fly now. Like even me, like as much as I like, if I had it for another promotion, I'd be like, no, we're not gonna do that. That's not cool.
Well, you think about back in the TLC era, man. It was those guys were just literally throwing anything at each other,
right,
and jumping off crazy heights. And I remember watching. I was watching when it was one of the Hearts, right? The one that went down the cable and
yeah.
I was watching that night. I for some reason I can't remember. I never remember his name. I just remember he's one of the Hearts. And but I remember, they showed some of the, they weren't showing the ring, but they were showing the arena and the look of the people's faces, obviously, of what they had just seen. And seeing these guys jump off crazy heights and just land in all kinds of weird stuff. And then I remember watching Mick Foley, even some of his independent stuff that was on some of the odd channels.
Mankind.
And he was doing some of the Japanese, because it was the Japanese stuff they were replaying.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And some of the crazy stuff he did back in the day. It's no wonder he ended up with no ear. And
oh, he's bonkers. But you know what? I don't know if he wrote his books himself or if he had a ghostwriter. But they are very entertaining books.
They're very good books. Yeah.
Yeah. I should reread those. Those were awesome.
But yeah, that was the era. That's what the guys did. And then it's kind of morphed into something else. But basically the style that we ended up learning, because I ended up learning from some guys in Mexico, like some guys from the Ultimo Dragon gym, and then we morphed into that. But not a lot of people were doing it. They laughed, like all the old veterans would laugh at us. But guess what? That's the style that they're doing now. That's what you see, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, guys on the All Elite.
The
wrestling.
luchador type stuff. But the thing about the luchador,
doing.
The luchador stuff was very, in my idea, it was very reminiscent of like Japanese ninja. Not only were they performing and doing really crazy stuff, but they weren't necessarily killing themselves trying to do some of those acrobatics. And there was a certain flair to that style of wrestling. And I've watched some of that luchador stuff, and it did get. I saw one where some fights in the arena started breaking. I mean, it was like soccer to some of these people. It was when their guy didn't win, it was all hell would break loose.
But yeah, I wish I found that style earlier. It would have saved me probably quite a few years.
Yeah, I growing up, I could take a hit. I played a lot of football and stuff like that. And
you don't say.
My I took quite a few shots to the head on more than one occasion. But my son, he he did end up playing sports, and then come up sophomore year, he what started it is he ended up in a mini bike accident, tore up one knee. When they x-rayed both knees and found out he had not only damaged the meniscus and the ACL in the one leg, but he also had already torn the ACL in the other leg. So he spent the next 18 months in and out of surgery. He had 3 surgeries back to back. So literally by the time he healed one, they went in and did another surgery.
Oh man.
And $15,000 out of daddy's pocket later, and that's the insurance after cost.
Oh,
I can tell you one of his surgeries was almost $80,000.
you need Kaiser. Dude, I got a buddy of mine. His son was like 16 or 17, and he had the not scoliosis where it's side to side for the spine, but front to back. The kid's spine was like this at the top. The kid gained 6 inches of height on the table, and about 4 weeks later, my buddy gets a bill for $100,000. He's like, "The hell is this?" So he calls Kaiser, and they're like, "Sir, this is an explanation of benefits. Did you pay your $100 deductible?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Then you're good. Have a great day."
Wow.
I kid you not. And you know what? My wife has access to Kaiser at work, and that's who we have. We have the same plan my buddy has, because I know I'm bound for some expensive-ass surgeries in the next few years, because I got to get both knees and a shoulder done, and it's going to be $300.
Yeah, that's...
I only hold it off because they tell me I got to stop smoking for 2 months. And I told the motherfucker, "Look, I don't care how doctored up you are. You don't have a place to bury the bodies."
Yeah, I pretty much have the same deal with putting off surgeries, but there is one I got to do at the end of November. I saw the doctor today. He's like, "Yeah, you got to do it." I'm like, "All right." I've been
What are you
putting it
doing,
off.
back?
Yeah, back, hip, sciatic thing. So
You getting the spinal fusion?
no, they're not going to fuse anything. He's just going to go in there and kind of. I don't know. He said he can put some mesh in and some other stuff to kind of keep stuff from
they've
touching each other.
The back surgery stuff is definitely that whole industry has improved considerably. There's things that they can do to help separate the disc and to sort of put a cushion back in between as long as it's not there's a point of no return, but there's
Right.
If you're in that realm of thing, you probably should try to get it done. And but I always, from the people I know that has had that kind of surgery, they say make sure you do your physical therapy, because they said that if you don't strengthen that back up, the disc will come loose again, and it'll basically end up starting all over.
Yeah,
That's
so I'm
the
gonna.
same thing I hear with the knee surgery.
Yeah.
I got a number of people I know that have gotten like one done, and then I've got 2 people that got both knees replaced at the same time, and they're like, "That's the way to do it. The physical therapy sucks, but you don't have to go through 2 surgeries."
Right. Yeah. So
I'm at a point where if this is your femur right here and your kneecap sits here, like there's no bone here. This is all gone on both knees. So it's like every step hurts. So when I have to walk like a mile and a half, it's like, nope, I'm done for the next 3 days. The only thing I can do is ride my Harley.
Right.
Just don't stop.
Yeah, just don't put your feet down.
Dude, I'm so well practiced at coming up to a red light just as slow as freaking possible, so I don't have to put my feet down. And then I got the highway pegs, and like when my gout is acting up, and anybody that's watched for a year and a half knows I get the gout kind of semi-frequently. I will prop whatever foot hurts up on the highway peg, like prop the ankle up, and that's the only way I can be comfortable. I drove my truck with the latest gout episode, and it was just so painful because every time I shifted my weight because the truck moved, my foot would just be like, "Oh, you're killing me, dude." But if it's hanging up there on the highway peg, it ain't moving. It's just going like this, left and right, going around corners.
Have you found a common reason for your gout? Have you
Stress.
found some? I knew
stress.
I knew a guy that he couldn't figure out. He's like, I'm doing everything the doctor's telling me. I'm taking the meds. He's like, but he was still having it really bad. What he found out was he ate a lot of tomatoes. and the acid in the tomatoes was causing him a ton of problems, and he basically sort of cut tomatoes out of his diet, or bought low acid tomatoes, and that helped him tremendously.
I've heard that, and last year I had about a 6-week period where I didn't walk a single step without severe pain, and for like 4 weeks it was in the right foot, and then it moved into the left. And when it was in the right foot, I was good because I was like, hey, work, I ain't coming in, because I was working at home anyway. And they were like, we need materials. And I would deliver materials on my Harley because I could ignore the rear brakes for the most part. And the motorcycle boots actually protect everything and kind of hold everything into place. So I could ride to work, never get off the bike, right? I got the Project Rushmore inside latches on my Harley. So I would show up. I'd reach into one pocket, get out my phone, call them, hey, I'm in the back parking lot, and then put the phone away. They'd come out. I'd reach into one saddlebag, get the materials, hand it to them, reach into the other saddlebag, grab another cigar, light it, drink some coffee, smoke the cigar, ride home. And I recorded a ton of vlogs doing that, and it was good fun. There's lots of painful videos on my channel because of it. But then it moved into the left foot, and I was just totally hosed.
Yeah.
And this year it was in the left foot for like 2 weeks. And the first week of it, I was going to doctor's appointments on my Harley every day. And I was like, you know what? I got a heel shifter. I can't lift my left big toe to shift up. So I'm just going to use the heel shifter to shift up, and then the toes to shift down, and the boots held everything in place. So once I got through the pain of putting a motorcycle boot on, I was good to go, man. I was freaking golden. And I was like, yep, we're just going to ride all damn day. So like my video where I'm testing like off-bike gear and off-bike mounts and all that, that was all performed while I had the gout real bad. And I was like stumbling the 100 yards down to where I was filming the video. But riding around on a Harley, man, it was aces. I was like, I'm good to go. Just, oh, God, oh, here we go. We're shifting again. Try not to shift. I was revving up and letting it lug, the whole 9 yards. But I found that stress really drove it last year, because I remember my first bout of it was in 2017, like 3 months after I started a new job, and it was getting kind of stressful. I had to gout for like 4 days. And the colchicine, I use air quotes because I don't know why, but colchicine is the med they gave me, and it's supposed to be like the miracle drug for gout. And it worked that one time. Man, that stuff didn't work last time. I tried endomethacin, and that stuff made me loopy, made my stomach hurt. I was like, nope, ain't doing that. So I go in to see this doctor, and here's another reason I like Kaiser. I could not get an appointment with my PCP and that's primary care physician, for like 6 weeks. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to put up with this for 6 weeks. I need to see somebody today. And they had one person available. And I was like, yep, I'm riding up there, honey. Bye. And I ride up to see this woman. She checked my notes. She checked patient history, all this stuff. And she had everything in her head. And I walked in, and she's like, you got pain in your left foot, huh? Let me take a look. And she's like, yep, I can see you have the gout. Because at some point, gout gets purple and painful and inflamed, and your foot looks like a freaking Vienna sausage on crack. And that's where I was. And she's like, yep, you got the gout. Let's try you on this. And I was like, nope, didn't work. She's like, I already took it. She's like, okay, let's try you on this. I was like, nope, I can't function on that. She's like, let's try this. And I took that third medicine. I won't say what it is because I'm secretive. And I took it, and like 2 days later, I was like, hey, I finally see some improvement. It no longer makes me cry to walk to the mailbox. The mailbox is on the front of my house. It's like 10 feet from my couch. But it still didn't hurt so bad I cried. So it was improvement. But, yeah, the gout sucks. I freaking hate it with a passion. And it was the worst week off, but it was the greatest week off because I put 200 miles on my Harley. I was just riding around town like, this is great. I don't feel any pain when I'm riding. Then I get off the bike and I'm like, oh, fuck, it hurts again.
Well, they say the worst time is off the bike, is not on the bike.
Oh, yeah. With my back pain, I tried the Harley massage in the spring. I was like, oh, yeah, this hurts. I'm going to get on a Harley. Yeah, it worked for like a day and a half, and then the pain came back even worse. And I was like,
comes back. Yeah.
What's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, like at first it's like, oh, it's fine, and then you get off again when the back's like, it's not good.
It's
Oh, yeah.
if I know I'm going to do a lot of miles in one day, I'll pre-med before I
Yeah.
get on the bike, because I know if I don't, I'm going to pay for it. And like you, I have back problems, I have knee problems, I have problems with my neck. This shoulder has been dislocated. I had a horseback riding incident. I had a horse that I was riding with a friend of mine.
Again, Rich
the-
Farm had horses. We couldn't afford horses.
Yeah. Well,
Good luck riding a
I had
bull.
rich friends. I didn't have horses. They did.
Yeah.
But the horse decided he wanted to buck, and so I hopped off the side, grabbed him by the reins to try to settle him down. He rears up, pulls this shoulder completely out.
Oh,
So every now and then, this shoulder
cool.
flares up, and it literally feels like somebody's taking a flame and shoving it in between my shoulder blade.
oh yeah.
And there's just nothing you can do about it until it just kind of goes away. Occasionally, muscle relaxers will work, but yeah, and it's one of the reasons why I made some adjustments to both of my bikes, because I'm not a big like crazy ape hanger, but I do have a belief that they need to be up a little bit. I can't do the lean forward and over.
Right.
Sport bike was never a question.
Yeah, it hurts
for me.
too much.
Right. I'd be on a sport bike for about 10 minutes and that'd be about it. And not to mention I'd probably kill myself on a sport bike too. So
No, they got slipper clutches and wheelie control now.
Still. I'm glad I did the car thing as I talked about that the car story when I was younger. I'm glad I did that in a caged car, not on a bike, because now I don't care about speed as long as it gets out of the way. That's all I care about. I don't really I'm not chasing the horsepower. I'm not chasing the speed or anything like that, or the thrill.
You want the torque, baby.
Yeah, torque's fine. Honestly, if my bike had about 10 more horsepower, I would be beautifully fine. Like that to me, the magic number is about 10 more horsepower than I have right now. Riding 2 up, that would be perfect. But yeah, like I said, I do have issues with like I said, my shoulder and my back and my neck, and I've been to the chiropractor many times, especially for my neck here in the last couple of years. There was one point where I literally couldn't turn my neck. It was just literally like this. This was as far as I could go. And if I moved too fast, I literally would get dizzy. Like that's how bad my neck was there a couple years ago.
Let me ask you this. Is it more comfortable to ride a motorcycle then or be in a car?
Honestly, car, just because I don't have to turn my head so far to see, other cars and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I always love being on 2 wheels, but I also say I'm a fair weather rider. Like I'm not the kind of guy that's like for me, when it gets cold, I don't want 3 layers and gloves and all that crazy shit on me when I'm riding. Like to me, that takes away from the experience of riding. But that's just my personal opinion on that. Like
You're wrong.
I know plenty of guys, like I said, that ride all year long. Jason, aka Mr. McStash, he does it all year long.
Dude, I rode in the snow last winter.
No.
It was one of those days where it was like 32, 35 degrees out, 20-mile-an-hour winds. And I went out riding and it started snowing. And I was like, it's coming from behind me. I'm going to turn around. So I'm riding into it. And I was like, this is awesome. I got the heated gloves. I'm going to get the heated grips. I love riding my street glide all year long. I love it when it's cold out because I'm the only bike out there, and the cars, they see this thing that's different and they seem to pay more attention to you. And I just love it.
No, they think you're crazy, and we all know.
Well, then they don't fuck with you because they know you're crazy. Dude, I'm the guy that shows up to work and they're like, wait, you're wearing a motorcycle jacket. Did you ride? And I'm like, yeah, there's no salt, ice, sand, or snow on the road. I'm good. Like, the roads are clear. I'm riding to work, buddy. I won't ride on wet leaves. I won't start out in the rain. But if it's 115 down to about 28, 25, I'm riding.
Yeah, me and the wife, 4 or 5 more years. Basically, when the daughters finish with college, we're gonna sell the house or whatever, and we're gonna move south. So I was like, I wanna be able to ride 9-10 months out of the year and not really not really have to worry about it. So that's the future plans for me, hopefully.
So the reason I asked about comfort in a car versus on a bike when your neck is hurting is because I went through like a 4-year stretch where every 6 months I would pull a muscle in my neck, and I was afraid I did it yesterday, where it literally took me a half an hour to sit up in bed because the neck was in so much pain. And then I dropped my phone, and it took me another half an hour to pick up the phone. And I called Kaiser, and I was like, give me an urgent care appointment. They're like, great, hour and a half. I can make that. And I called my mom because she lives nearby, and I was like, Mom, my wife's out of town. I need you to take me before you go to the beach. You got to take me to the urgent care. And she took me, and I got a shot of Dilaudid while I was there. And then I got another shot of Dilaudid because the first one didn't work. And then they gave me like Flexeril, Tramadol, and something else.
Damn, that's a combo.
It's not a good combo.
I've done that combo.
And Ryan will tell you it is not a good combo.
It's not good, but it's fun.
So it was not fun in my case because they didn't tell me not to take them all at once. They didn't tell me to take them staggered. Okay. So yeah, my mom dropped me off at the house, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling better from the Dilaudid already. I'm going to join you. I'll get on the bike in a couple hours. I'll meet you out there. My dogs are at the dog sitter. My wife and kid were out of town. I was like, I'm good to go in a couple hours. I'll join you there. A day later, my wife comes home, and I stumble out of the front door like, hey, honey, how are you? And my buddy had picked her up from the airport and brought her home. And she's like, what in the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. And I started crying. I was in a 100% fugue state. I was done. Like, there was no bringing me back. She had to drive me and the kid up to pick the dogs up and everything else. It turns out I talked to a pharmacist friend of mine. He's like, yeah, the fact that you took all 3 of those drugs at once, one slowed your heart rate, one relaxed your muscles, and the fact that you fell asleep sitting up is the only reason you're still alive. And I was like, holy shit. I was awake for like 40 minutes out of 24 hours. I literally had a glass of iced tea and a piece of bread every 6 hours for a day. And I took these meds and I wrote it on the board. The board had like the med, the time I took it, and all that in a chart on the whiteboard on our fridge. It was bonkers. My wife was so mad. She's still mad at my mother for that one. Like, she's like, I can't believe you left your son in this state. And she's like, he said he was going to be fine. What was I supposed to do? She's like, take care of him until you know he's fine. Don't run off to the beach. I don't care if it was your birthday, So what I found was that once the major pain subsided and I could like actually move around again, I'm more comfortable on a bike than in a truck, because in the truck you get the head roll when you hit bumps and stuff. But on the bike, it's just like turn your whole body and you see left to right. So that's what I would do. I would ride like this.
Bobblehead.
Oh, yeah. No head movement, just whole torso movement. I was leaning into all the corners, even if they weren't there.
Yeah, talk about crazy drug interactions. I'm highly allergic to Benadryl. Let me tell you, I don't have a normal reaction to Benadryl. So what happens with me is I ended up hallucinating in cold sweat in the fetal position on the floor saying, I'm not Jesus, I can't fucking walk on water.
That's a hell of a reaction.
Literally like buckets of sweat. Like the last time that happened, a friend, because I was having like really bad sinus, he's like, here, take. It was one of those like, you know how Benadryl now, like even the generic stuff has the pink mark. That's why.
Yeah.
Is because people are allergic to it and they have to identify it is so that in a way that would stand out. Well, this was back before they started doing that as a regular thing on some of the generic meds, and the med he gave me was a generic version of Benadryl. I didn't know it, and like I said, I took it, and like I said, I was on the floor hallucinating. I don't remember it. I was told that I was saying this stuff, so they were ready to take me to the hospital because of it.
And they were going to drop you off by the front door and drive off.
Actually, my best friends would have exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah, that's a drop off.
Yeah, yes. that's a drop off and dip out situation.
Yeah. Dude, you remember that? You remember that scene in Pulp Fiction where the dude brings the dude or the girl to that dude's house, and it's like, dude, don't bring a drugged up girl here to my house and all that stuff. I'm sure you've all seen that movie. It's a classic. My kids did that to me one night. Like, one of their friends got into some drugs and was all trashed and messed up, and I'm like, you brought this drugged up girl to my house.
You almost went Marcellus Wallace on her, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. I literally was like replaying the scene from that movie with my kids. And they knew they had messed up, but and actually it was funny because it was the girlfriend of one of my son's best friends, and we like, the thing is, I knew his mom, like his mom and our mom and my wife have like, they're each other's numbers. That close. That's how close they are. You know, they grew up together. They were in Boy Scouts together and all that stuff. And it's like, boy, you do not want me calling your mother.
All right.
Oh, but yeah, I think the bad part was, it's not like the worst thing I can ever remember doing as a kid. Like, there was some pretty messed up stuff we did as a kid, but when we were growing up, the worst as far as drugs, it was pot and it was alcohol. That's it. And I don't do pot. I'll drink, but I can't stand the smell. And I saw some chat, so that kind of brought it.
Oh yeah, dude. I went to a friend of mine's house, and they had stolen some road signs, and one was East Street and one was West Street, and I got a contact high. I wasn't smoking weed, but I was in the room where they were. We were playing Grand Theft Auto 2 with the top down view.
I guess that would be a good way to be.
I got fucking paranoid, and I was like, God damn, the cops are after us. And I walked to one street sign, and I walked to another one, and I was like, your house is huge. It's got street signs. It's a whole block wide. What the hell? Dude, like 2 hours later, I left that house, and I was driving home, and there were some lights for a shopping center on the other side of some trees, and they were filtered through the trees, so they flashed. And I pulled myself over on this 3-lane road, and I put my blinkers on, and I sat there for like 15 minutes. I was like, is this cop ever going to come freaking talk to me? And I get out of the car, and I walked around the road, and I walked around the car. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had to be at work like 5 hours later. And I was like, huh, there ain't no cop here. What the fuck? So I got back in my car, and I drove really slow home. It took me like an hour and a half to go 30 miles. It was crazy.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, dude. We used to I got in the car with this guy one time, and he was smoking. And we were like, yeah, let's go to Dave & Buster's. And we didn't know that under 21 wasn't allowed after 10 p.m.
Right.
We showed up at like 10:30. But we drove. We were getting passed on the Beltway, the Capitol Beltway. At 10 o'clock at night, we're doing 54 and a 55 in the right-hand lane. I'm like, man, these guys are going really freaking quick today. And he's like, dude, you're doing 54 and a 55. Hit the gas pedal. I was like, that explains it. And I went slower.
Littering in.
Oh, yeah. It was bad, man. Oh, yeah. Good times. My college days were crazy.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another shenanigan stream on that. Just all the bad shit we used to do.
Yeah. I don't know. What's the statute of limitations?
Well, yeah, let's do some research first before we, commit to that type of stream.
7 years unless it's murder in most states.
Okay, so I still have to wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably cut you guys off. I need a little bit of sleep before I do some stuff. Well, it's now already Saturday, so I got stuff I have to do this. I have stuff I have to do this morning.
In 8 hours, I'm taking my kid to swimming lessons.
I'm gonna crash and I'm gonna stay there until my wife makes me get up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Me too, except it's going to be earlier than when your wife wakes me up. Woo!
So guaranteed, probably one of the cats is going to wake me up, and I'm going to be mad. So
pussy.
Yeah, not the right kind. But, you know.
Yeah, I'm allergic to cats, so I've only ever lived with 2 of them. There's a story in there too.
Oh man. All right. But
Appreciate it, guys.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, they did a whole bunch of cool stuff on this one. So hopefully people, watch the replay and stick with it.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm sorry to have ruined your live stream.
You have not ruined it. You have expanded the live stream.
Well, you know what? I'm happy to piss off my wife to join in a future one.
Awesome.
One of these days, I got to host one on my channel.
Yeah, definitely. If we'll go over some StreamYard stuff. We'll run it.
Yeah,
off
it's
the
not
other
hard to
channel.
set up.
Yeah, it's easy.
No, I have a StreamYard account. I just have to do it and piss off my wife good enough she leaves me alone for 2 hours. It's not that hard. I have a lot of practice.
I'm good at it.
You got to film that.
You're good at pissing my wife off?
I'm good at pissing anyone off.
John, film you pissing your wife off and then jump on a live stream.
Oh no, she's already yelling at me right now. So
right now, shit, my wife's been asleep for 2 hours. She has to get up with children.
Yeah, my wife's already sleeping. I know she's gonna be dead sleeping.
Dude, I got so many brownie points like a month ago because my 6-year-old got home from soccer practice and was complaining about an ear hurting. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, he wakes up crying. And I'd already had a few beers. But my wife's like, come up here and help me with this kid. So I do. I go up there and I'm like, I don't know what to do for you. And she's like, I had a whole bottle of wine. You just had a couple of beers, right? I was like, yeah, I'm good. So I drank the rest of the coffee pot and hopped in the truck. I was fine. I was not breaking the law. Let me just be perfectly honest here. My 3 beers over 5 hours wasn't 0.08 or higher. But I got in the truck at 1:30 in the morning. We were at urgent care at 2:04. They only have one doctor from 2 to 6 a.m. They said it's a 4-hour wait. I was like, tell you what, call my cell phone and I'll come back in. We're going to be out in the parking lot in my truck. It's more comfortable than your freaking benches. So we go out. I'm trying to sleep. The kid's in the backseat snoring. He's laying on the floor of my truck snoring. I have a blanket, so he's comfortable. He wakes up at 3:30. Daddy, I need something to eat. I'm like, all right, there's a vending machine. So we had 3 a.m. Doritos. And then we go in at like 4 and we get him checked out. It turns out he's fine. He doesn't have this respiratory thing that's going around. He's just sick. I roll in the house at 6:30. It's Saturday morning at 6:30. I'm like, there goes the rest of my weekend trying to catch up on sleep. So I slept till 10. My wife wakes me up. She's like, you got to watch the little one while I take the big one to soccer. It's like, oh, shit. All right. So I go downstairs. I set him up on the Nintendo Switch. 4-year-old playing Mario Odyssey on Switch, by the way. And he's good for the next 2 hours. They throw a pillow at me, wake me up at 12:30. I go and take a trampoline down, put it in the back of my truck, drive home, go back to sleep till 8:30 in the evening. Yeah, I earned a ton of brownie points on that one, being up all night with the 6-year-old.
Yeah,
he had a mild ear infection.
Peroxide.
Pansy and said, go to bed.
Peroxide in the ear. That'll cure it.
Oh, God. I wish it were that simple.
All right. Well, it looks like we all need some sleep.
Or at least try. I will catch you guys later. Appreciate the chat.
Catch you guys later. Thanks,
Thank you guys very much.
Like and subscribe.
Don't forget to check out.
Yeah, check everybody.
My buddy Ryan over here.
Check everybody out.
Travis DUNLife over there. And then if you're willing to lose a few brain cells, come check out youtube.com/Road Reality.
All right, guys. It was a good one. We'll talk to you guys later.
Take care.
Bye.